Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to post-episode issues, the Game of Thrones, Season 1, Episode 5, The Wolf and the Lion. And this is another one of my favorite episodes of Game of Thrones, and I'm really excited to talk about this. So I can't get to the music to shut it down right now. So welcome to the post-episode issues right now. We are here to talk about the Game of Thrones, to continue on our adventure of talking about Game of Thrones Season 1, episode, the first season of Game of Thrones, as I'm stalling for time as I'm turning down the music. Yes, and with me, as always, on this adventure is Joe Dirty Locks. How are you doing tonight, Joe?
I'm doing very well, very, very well. It's good to see y'all.
Yeah, it's good to. We were talking last week about one of your favorite episodes. This was probably, when I date back to when I first watched this episode, this was the episode that really, more than anything, grabbed me with the fight at the end with Ned and Jamie. And I think it's one of the biggest changes from initially as the series was going, the biggest changes from book to show, and one of the best ones that they chose to change.
Yeah. Well, when I first saw this, I didn't know that this was a change. I watched season 1 before I read anything, so it was it's a great episode. Every episode in season 1 was one of my favorite episodes.
That's funny you said. I was totally thinking the same thing this afternoon when I was thinking about this season. It's like every season 1 episode, or every episode of Game of Thrones for that matter, is just, there's no bad episodes. It's just, it keeps going and going, and it's still fucking amazing.
No, I remember my very first impression of this episode is it was one of my favorites. And after the rewatch, because I watched it last night after we finished our Breaking Saul, Better Call Saul recap review. When I watched this episode again, it was it still, I found enough that I was like, yeah, and enough moments where I was still just as enthusiastic about it. That my like 6th time watching this first season, so.
And if this is your first time checking out our videos, we're recapping the entire series of Game of Thrones. We're going back and going to be continuing on these tales in between the seasons that are actually going, and also doing recaps of season 5 episodes as they happen. Joe, could you adjust me a little bit? I'm echoing all over the place. So if you're tuning into this on iTunes, please subscribe to Fill the Issues Guy YouTube page so you can check out all of our live recaps after season 5 episodes and continue to see our live recaps and join us live like Dragon, Duchronic, Ghetto Toad, Renwood, Vaughn. We're all with us tonight to talk about this episode as well. So if you guys are checking this out at a later date, please share your thoughts in the comment section, or if you're listening to this on iTunes, please come on over to the YouTube page and share your thoughts as well.
Oh yeah, please, please, please.
Please love and thank you. Yes, all of the blubbity blah. So let's get into it again. Just keep adjusting me a little bit, Joe, every few seconds, because it seems like if you move me, then I don't echo, and then if you move me again, then I do. It's really weird. So let's start this episode up, and we open up at the very beginning in King's Landing with Ned Stark arriving in the grounds of the Tournament of the Hand, where everything took place in the last episode. He enters the tent where the Sir Hugh, who's just died, the guy that was fighting the Mountain, is being tended to, and he enters to speak with Barristan, who's in there. Ned he's not only concerned about how the body's being treated, but he's curious as to how this kid, what happened with this kid to allow him to afford a suit of armor like this. He's investigating that situation. He wants to know what happened. Where'd this guy get this money to afford this suit of armor?
And Barristan's like, no clue. In fact, no one even came to stay with him, so I stood watch all night, like there's some like tradition and honor that someone is supposed to do with a newly dead person. So old vigil. So Barristan Selmy did that for the guy, and he didn't even know him that well either. So.
And Stark gets into one more adjustment, Joe. Sorry to keep asking you. It's echoing all over the place here. So Ed Stark says, does Hugh have any family and anybody in the capital? And Barristan says, no, I stood vigil for him myself last night. He had no one else. And he said, oh, well, he's never worn this armor before. Bad luck for him going up against the Mountain, huh? And who determines the draw? And he says, all the knights determine their own draw, Lord Stark. And he goes, but who holds the straws? who
Right.
gave them the straws to draw the mountain. Because whoever was going to draw the mountain in that situation has a good chance of dying. The mountain.
Well, it's not that if you face the mountain you die, but I think that it's more reasonable if you do die when you face the mountain.
Yeah,
Right?
you're not
'Cause-
supposed to die in a
Yeah,
tournament.
exactly.
This isn't supposed to be.
Like, yes, jousting is one of the most dangerous sports ever created, but you're still not supposed to die. You're supposed to be relatively protected,
And you just increase your pot odds, so to speak, when facing against the mountain, as there's more of a chance you could die in that situation because he's playing it a little bit tougher. He hits with bad intention. We'll say that.
Yeah. I mean, he's out for the money, and he's gonna kill if he has to get the prize purse.
He just likes killing.
He just likes
He
killing.
really,
Yeah, exactly.
really likes killing.
He enjoys it. He definitely enjoys it. So Ned and Barristan both exit the tent, and they begin walking, and they start catching up. Barristan says, "Life is strange. Not so many years ago we fought as enemies at the Trident." And
Twice.
Stark, being a smart guy and not fucking around, says right away, "I'm glad we never met on the field." And that's what... And he says, "As is my wife. I don't know if a widow's life would have suited her." And
Yeah, Barristan tries to tell him, "Oh no, you're a real good fighter," and he says, "No. My dad told me you were the best that there ever was, and my dad's never wrong. I've never known him to be wrong about matters of combat. So, shut your fucking mouth, Barristan. You're a badass."
Dragon says Ned's going all CSI in this moment. Yeah, this could be the Ned Stark CSI episode. It's all on the investigation tonight, and Ned, who gave him the armor? Who drew it? He's investigating. He's so impassioned by all of this through the first half of this episode. I just love it. What a guy. Hi, Katie, says Renwood. Vaughn says, "You've done good work, ladies. Thank you." Oh, shit. and then he just steps outside, and him and Barristan are going on. "You were a fine man, your father. What the Mad King did to him was a terrible crime." And right when he says terrible crime, Ned Stark cannot switch subjects quicker. He
did.
He goes right back to talking about the kid.
He hit a nerve.
What was that, Katie?
He hit a nerve.
He did. He did. And I think he was trying to be respectful, unlike, say, I think maybe Jamie earlier, a couple episodes ago, was trying to be respectful in his own Jamie fucked up way. But Barristan was really, I think, trying to be respectful here and not dig at Stark. I just think Ned just doesn't want to hear about that. I don't want to hear about that shit. That's the past. That's past Ned's problems. Future Ned's problem needs to find out about this lad. And he asked about the lad. The lad was a squire until a few months ago. How could he afford a new suit of armor? Barristan says perhaps Lord Arryn left him some money. And then they start talking. "I hear the king wants to joust today." And this is one of my favorite lines that Ned Stark ever delivers in the entire series. Just how he says it. Yes, that will never happen. I can't even replicate how he says it. But his response to that, Robert.
The line should have read more something along the lines of, "Yeah, joust what? A box of jelly donuts?"
And this is another slight change from the books, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, in the sense that I think Robert does fight in the joust in the books, but he's talking more about going into the melee, and it doesn't get separated as much in this. That kind of all gets combined into one. In the book, I believe Robert wants to just go in and fight in the melee, and Stark's like, "No fucking way, you're fat. You're too fat. You can't do that. No one's gonna hit you."
Yeah, you're just gonna run around hitting everybody else while they're trying to fight each other, and nobody's really gonna,
No one wants to hurt the king.
Yeah, you're gonna be the guy that broke the king's leg. Come on.
Well,
Stab the king in the
people
belly.
probably want to hurt the king. They just know that they can hurt the king.
They dare not.
But do you think? I guess it's more about the other people that aren't the king. I get a feeling like Robert is the type of guy that would almost respect you more if you did hit him.
Oh yeah. He wants to fight.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Robert also seems a little petty.
Yeah, as we see later in this episode, he does get petty when it comes to Targaryens.
Or Lannisters.
Or Lannisters, the
prideful
cunts, fucking Lannisters. They may be the snivellers.
You don't think if Sir Loras knocked him a good one, he wouldn't be like, "Oh, fucking Poof just knocked me a good one. I'm gonna have to treat him like a bitch for the rest of his stay in King Landing."
Yeah, possibly. I mean,
if he is my brother's boyfriend, like.
and probably more to that effect just because he likes to treat his family kind of shitty when it comes down to it. Well, he doesn't necessarily have the greatest relationship with Stannis, even though Stannis did a lot of good stuff for him when it came down to it.
Right, like there's a lot of like it's very what have you done for me lately with
Robert.
With Robert, with the exception of Ned Stark.
Ned's the one that can get away with saying anything to him. And again, you
just about.
Well, he does. Well, he does. I mean, we'll get to it, but fuck it. Let's talk about it now for a second.
You could say anything. He could say anything he wants to him in private. Yes.
But he can obviously say anything he wants to him in public too.
Just about.
Robert is never gonna put his head on a spike. That's an empty fucking threat.
Exile him somewhere, maybe.
If he ever wants to, like, all he has to, like, he thinks and he pines after Ned's sister. All he ever really has to do to get closer to Ned's sister is just have a conversation with Ned. If he ever put his head on a spike, that option is gone. His oldest and truest friend, the sister, the brother to the woman he loved, would be gone.
He can always dream about putting a dress, marrying her.
Yeah.
Oh.
Who knows how they grow up in the Vale?
Freddie says, I don't think Robert is the warrior he used to be. And I wonder if,
oh my goodness, no.
I think the big question, though, is does he still have the warrior mentality inside of him? Does he still have the warrior's honor? And I think that's what Ned goes to. I thought you were a better man. You're not the Robert I used to know. It's not just about the way he looks. It's about being, I think, not just being so blah by everything, having to deal with everything every day has pacified him. But any fire that was inside Robert's gone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, now he's a spoiled king.
Right. He's been drinking and fucking, and that's about it. And eating for the last 12 years or so since the Greyjoy Rebellion.
Yeah, Ghetto Toad. The look that Ned shoots Robert just after he calls him fat is just hilarious. Yeah, Ned in this whole episode with Robert is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I like it.
Laugh out loud.
I love what he does. What Robert does too to the little Lannister boy. What a joke! Go get the breastplates, treasure.
So mean.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a few seconds. He's amazing to him in that scene. He's totally Joe Pesci and Goodfellas to him. Laugh? Oh, what, you're laughing? I'm funny? I'm a fucking joke? Fuck you. And Richie, Stannis is the one true king. Yep. Yes, he is. Stannis. Renward, I love Robert saying, I thought being king meant I could do anything I wanted. You were almost, in everything that he said in that moment, we talk about this a lot with Mark Addy. He just has such an ability to combine comedy and being tragic, like tragic drama, in just the way he says something. And some of those lines when he says, I thought being king meant I could do everything. You could look at it as a funny line, but the way he says it with such almost infinite sadness that's not the way things are. Drew Chronic, Littlefinger making bets he knew he would be losing to show he won't go against the family. It's important for Tyrion's defense about the knife. Bet that wouldn't have made, or bet that never would have been made.
But the bet that Littlefinger made was Loras against the Mountain.
No, he's talking about the earlier bet that that he lost. He lost the knife to Tyrion, or
yeah.
Oh, the dagger.
The dagger. I think that's what he was talking.
Dagger?
But that was a lot. That's not this episode. I think that I kind of thought he was saying that Littlefinger losing this bet shows that somehow he'll lose bets.
Right. That he'll lose a bet. Then he doesn't care about losing the bet if it serves his plan, like losing the dagger.
Right.
In that bet, like maybe he knew that he had full knowledge that he was going to lose that bet and lost it on purpose so that would get into Tyrion.
I thought he was going to win the Mountain bet. It's the Mountain versus the Flower.
Yeah, people assume the Mountain's going to crush the Flower.
The Mountain just killed the man.
Vaughn, in the situation with Rhaegar and Lyanna, kind of broke Robert mentally. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Go get the breastplate stretcher and bring the left-handed wrench tool. Poor Lassie Lannister. Oh, Lassie Lannister. Oh, I love Lassie.
Bring the left-handed wrench tool.
So Ned separates from, and Ned ends up saying if the king got what he wanted all the time, we'd still be fighting a damned rebellion. So Ned separates from Barristan and he enters the Robert's tent, and Lancel Lannister, his squire, is attempting to dress him. And Lancel, it's made too small, my lord. Your grace, it won't work.
It's made too
It's
small,
made too
right?
small.
Your mother was a
Very
dumb.
smart kid, you know.
Your mother was a dumb whore with a fat ass. Did you know that?
I know. What an asshole, huh?
So mean.
Look at this idiot. One ball, no brains.
Oh.
To which Ned, the line that Duke Chronic was talking about, just goes, "You're too fat for your armor," and just looks at him.
Yeah,
up.
he like, and that was it doesn't matter that this kid's a Lannister. This kid's just a kid, and he sees Robert being mean to him, so he throws a good shot in right in front of the kid.
And Robert says, "Fat? Is that how you speak to your king?" That was, and then Lancel starts laughing. He turns to him. "That's funny, wasn't it? That was funny."
Super Pesci moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
and
think
then
I'm funny? You think I'm a clown?
Yeah,
Huh?
that's what I said a second ago. He starts giving him the good fellas, the Christopher
Yep.
Moltisanti him. What, I amuse you? What, are you funny?
I think it's also De Niro does it in Raging Bull.
No, you don't. So you don't like the hands joke? You're telling me the hand isn't funny? What, you're not laughing? So Lancel runs out of the tent to get the breastplate stretcher, and Ned starts just talking shit, the truth to Robert. Some things you can tell Robert hasn't really heard from anybody on this planet in years, or maybe Cersei just in her being a douchebag to him for douchebag reasons, so he just enjoyed it. Ned's actually saying it to him. The breastplate stretcher. Maybe you should invent one. All right. Watch me. I'll still go out there and hit one. And then he goes, "You have no business jousting. Leave that for the young man." Why? Because I'm king. Piss on that. I want to hit somebody. He says, "Who's going to hit you back? Anybody who can. And the last man in his saddle will be you. And there's not a man in the 7 kingdoms that would risk hurting you. And you're telling me these cowards would let me win?" Yup. And then he goes, "Drink." And he forces Ned to drink. Ned's like, "I don't want to drink." He's like, "No, you drink, motherfucker."
Yeah.
Shots,
You better be
damn
at
it.
least drunk when you're calling me fat and saying I can't play my games.
Listen, Ned Stark, today is Friday, and you don't got shit to do today. You're fucking
Right?
getting
You're
drunk
fucking
today,
you're down in the Dorne.
So yeah, you're down in that Dornish wine right now. So then Ned kind of playing, as someone said earlier, Ned Stark's CSI agent tonight. He's invested. He goes, "The Squire, a Lannister boy. Why would you have a Squire as a Lannister Squire?" And he said, "Well, he's a bloody idiot. Cersei insisted." And Ned gives him this kind of like, "Oh, really?" thing, and then converts into saying, "Jon Arryn, I can thank her for Cersei. So Cersei Lannister would be a good match. You'd meet her father's on your side. I thought being king meant I could do anything I wanted." And I wrote, "sadly defeated." He was very defeated when he said this. "Okay, let's watch someone else hit. Maybe I can smell someone else's blood." And then he tries to walk out, but he's walking out with his big belly hanging out.
Yeah, it's good to be
That's
the
hilarious. The king's new clothes, right?
What? What? Oh, and
I think they made your shirt too small too. Never mind the armor.
an inspiring sight for the people. Come on, bow before the kings, you shits. I love that. I love him so much.
Yeah, Moriarty's
Robert.
amazing.
So incredible.
I love this TV sitcom too. I really did. As cheesy as it was special.
And you have to just in general feel bad, or I personally, I guess I should say I feel bad for Robert. I feel bad for someone that was this great warrior, not almost being a victim of his own, or not almost, being a victim of his own success, being such a great fighter, that being that great fighter brought him to be a king. And then once he defeated anybody, no one else has the balls to face off on him because he's the king.
Really, if we remember that rebellion, or if we'll talk about it for a second, it's quite possible Ned could have actually been king, not.
Yeah, we talked about that a bunch last week. With he was the first one to arrive there. Robert was injured at the Trident, and
not to mention that it wasn't just that. It was also the fact that Ned Stark is actually, Lord of Winterfell at the time because his older brother and his father are dead. So even though Robert Baratheon is Lord of whatever place that he's from. The Stormlands.
Stormlands, yep. Show us on the map where the Stormlands are, Joe.
Yeah, the Stormlands right here.
Thank you, Katie.
You're welcome. I'll be Joe's pointer.
Ned's got a much bigger, Ned's kingdom is half the continent. He's able to raise the biggest armies if he needs to. Much of that rebellion was Winterfell and the North support.
Yeah, what's
So
all about Sister
and it was
too,
all about
stepsister.
his, the Lord, the brother, and Ned's sister dying is kind of what sparked this rebellion. So Ned kind of had a stronger claim to have taken the throne, but he gave it to Robert.
Yeah, he didn't want anything to do with that.
Yeah, Ned doesn't want to be down the south. He just doesn't. That's not that. He has little shit's interest in.
Oh no! If Ned had been king of Westeros, not just Lord of Winterfell, the capital would have been Winterfell. He would have went back to Winterfell. That would have become the capital, and that's all. The King's Landing just would have become a port city or some shit like that.
A couple questions in the comment room. Ghetto Toad. Robert is the king of a kingdom he never wanted to. He really doesn't give a fuck. I think that is very clear.
That's true too.
And Dragon, I read your question, just putting it out there early. I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the end of this episode, and we will deal with our choices of who won that competition as we get there. Freddie said Ned was worried Jamie was going to claim the throne at the time. He absolutely was. That probably was his first thought when he wandered in there and saw Jamie lounging on that throne. Duke Chronic says they raised princes to be kings.
Oh, that sounds a little dirty.
Yeah, no, that's Ren. That's private. You weren't. I told you that in confidence.
Oh, Katie, you're Joe's son singer. Oh, whoa. Mystic hands float from side to side. Thanks, Katie, says Ghetto Toad.
You're welcome.
Mystical hands floating in here and there. So now at the jousting track where there's lots of onlookers, we see Sir Gregor the Mountain come out and attempting to bow before the king before his horse takes down the lane. His horse, you can see, this is one of those things that I didn't get the first couple times I watched it, but watching it this time, it was very clear to me. And everything that Loras does with the horse, he can tell that the horse.
Horses, yeah.
Yeah, he can tell that the horse is in heat, and that the Mountain's horse is upset, and he sort of goats the horse a little bit. It's a pretty smart move that Loras does.
Yeah.
You know what? I never really caught that. In like the 6 times I've seen this episode, including last night, I never really caught it. And I think when they mention it afterwards, like
Littlefinger
did
says
something.
It's subtle. Yeah.
I know they mentioned something, and I think I always have trouble hearing it. And in my mind, and even when I read the book to like that that's what he does with the horse. But in the show, for some reason, I thought he fucked with the guy's lance, so his lance broke. Meaning he gave back no force, and he knocked the mountain off the...
You're right. Visually, it was a little tough to follow that if Loras did anything with the horse. I more caught it this time because I was paying real attention to dialogue, so I caught what Littlefinger said very specifically.
It's quick.
So we'll get to it here. So we're at the jousting circle. Gregor comes in, bows before the king, and then Ned Stark sits down next to Sansa. And this is probably the nicest Sansa's ever to Ned Stark since we've seen them together. Ned asks where Arya is. She says, "At her dancing lessons. I don't give a shit about Arya. Shut up about Arya." And then Loras comes over and presents flowers to her. And she thanks him. She goes, "Oh, the Knight of the Flowers, thank you, Sir Loras." And as he's bowing to Sansa, Loras exchanges looks with Renly. They sort of give you like see you later eyes. And, Loras then rides out and bows before the king, also taking down the opposite track to face off against the Mountain. And you can just see that the Mountain's horse. I wrote in my notes. You can just see that the Mountain's horse hates the Mountain.
Yeah, you would want that beast on your back?
Poor horse.
That's the beast with 10 backs. That's a fucking huge motherfucking beast.
The Mountain should just run down the aisle. He doesn't need a horse.
Right.
Renwood says Loras' armor was fabulous, but no way he could see out that helmet.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
I couldn't make out what the fuck his helmet was, but it was very ornate and very weird.
Yeah, Ren said no way he could see out of it.
Right, yeah, no.
So, I think Sansa's dragonfly necklace has to do with the story of the Prince of Dragonflies. Love for Jenny of Oldstone, which was made into a song.
Yes.
Oh my.
Yes. And Sir Loras, what a pimp, he goes and gives her the flowers, Sansa the flowers too.
And I fucks Renly at the same time. He double plays them right there. He goes.
Oh, Renly knows what Loras is doing. Renly knows that he was going to do that. He does that every time he gives a rose to some chick.
Right, but it's a really smart move if you think of the long-term game.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
But whatever. Okay, sorry. Whoops. So Ghetto Toad says Sir Loris is the best. He must know every trick in the book. Yeah, and that's what it really comes down to when we get into his scene with exposition scene with Renly later. I think it's very cool what the show has done with Loris and made Loris much character. When he talks about it's not a gift I have, I work at it. I work every angle, work every
fighting. Yep. And when we finally do, a little bit of a spoiler. I'm not going to really break anything, but when we do finally meet the family of women that he comes from, it all sets in place. His character makes perfect sense with the family that he's come from. George Martin does a great writing for this.
Yeah, Joe, without getting too far down that line, I just want to say, in general, I love how the show has changed and developed the Tyrells.
Yes.
The Tyrells, whatever. I really think they did an excellent job at, especially with Loris and with his sister, who we've yet to meet quite yet, or who we might meet at some point soon. so Sansa gets, oh, don't let Sir Gregor hurt him. Oh, and she actually hugs Ned. She cuddles up to him. I can't watch, and she puts her hand in his oh, Daddy. Vaughn says it's better to cheat than be killed by the motherfucking mountain. I added the motherfucking. Duke Chronic says
you can't argue with that.
No, you can't argue with that logic. You can't really. The mountain's tough to stab in the back of the head with a knife. That's difficult. And Duke Chronic says Renly gives him a look like, get over there. He knows. Yeah, he knows about the mayor. Oh yeah, and we get our exposition sex scene with them later. We'll get serious. Oh, I did want to say, Ren, it's our fault. Ren's just spent $67 on 3 seasons of The Walking Dead in T-shirts.
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
It's a good investment.
And a free T-shirt almost makes it worth it, right?
Yeah, good investment. Good investment. So the Mountain's horse just starts freaking out because of the mountain. So she doesn't want to watch. She puts her head and kind of hides behind Ned. And we also hear in this scene Baelish say, 100 gold dragons on the mountain. Renly takes the bet, and then they get into a little bit of an exchange that's funny. Now what will I do with my 100 gold dragons? Dornish wine, a girl from a pleasure house, and Renly says, you could buy a friend. And Sansa, the first time I watched this, I totally thought Renly was going to die too. Just the way they said, not Renly, excuse me, Loris was going to die. The way they were setting it up and what happened in the last episode with the mountain, and the way Sansa's like, he's going to die. I'm like, oh my god, she had a premonition, he's going to die.
This guy, like the mountain's going to kill everybody he goes against. They won't let him play anymore.
Well, he keeps going, like, this dude's tiny.
Everybody's tiny compared to everybody's
but Loris is particularly.
I guess I'm saying,
I'm a big boy. I'm tiny next to this guy. I'm just shy 6 feet, almost 270 pounds. I am fucking.
Absolutely. Good point. Good point, Vaughn, about the Tyrells. The only bad thing I'd say about the changes is that the 2 older Tyrell brothers were pretty damn cool. I understand that, but the show has so many characters already. I almost can forgive the fact that they combined some characters. But I agree that the brothers were cool, and they took some of the cool aspects of the other brother and gave that to Loris, or gave him some of those features. But we'll see, and maybe we'll meet them as time goes on. I haven't heard any weird casting news yet. Okay, so we cut back and forth the whole time of
so if you want to know where the Tyrells are actually from, they're from this area down here.
Could you back up a little bit when you do that, because you're blocking the map with your body? There we go. Oh, look at your fingers. You guys see that flirting there? They were playing footsie with their fingers.
So that's where Highgarden is actually right there. That's where he's from.
So Highgarden can get the Dornish weed pretty easy.
Highgarden is where the weed is. Dorne is where the wine is. The good weed is from Highgarden.
Okay,
right?
Yeah,
come on, Highgarden.
Highgarden. Yeah,
that's the one thing that we got wrong in earlier podcasts. After further review, there's a reason why Loris is the flower knight.
Yeah. The dirt weed comes from Dorne because they
Dorne, right. That's like. Yeah,
they bring it in over. I'm pointing at the map like I can see them. Yeah, they bring it over the Narrow Sea, and it gets smuggled in people's butts and stuff. So okay. So we cut back and forth the whole time between the mountains, and we could. And we could just see that they have completely different styles. Loris.
I want to say I don't condone smoking of marijuana recreationally, only medically.
Only medicinally. Okay. I don't co-sign that. Sign that.
Yeah, I think it should be legalized in this state, so it could be smoked recreationally, and then I wouldn't advocate or not advocate for it.
Vaughn says the Tyrells are from dirty Lockland. I see. So cut back and forth the whole time. And it goes back and forth. We hear the trumpet heard, and we hear the two different styles between, like I said, the two different styles between Loris and the Mountain. You can see that the Mountain is just all brute force, and Loris has just mad skill on his side. And the trumpet's heard, and both competitors race down their lanes, and Loris knocks the Mountain off his mount. And Renly goes, such a shame, Littlefinger. It'd be nice of you to have a friend, kind of mockingly.
And why, Sir Renly? When will you be having your friend? Littlefinger gets him with that little barb. Right back, you little frickin'
$1 million.
Boy.
So Gregor gets up off the ground, and he shouts for his sword, and his squire brings him his sword. And then, what the hell is up with this show? They just want to hurt horses. Gregor severs his head of his horse.
Completely through. He gets like 7/8 away through this horse's freaking neck.
He godfathered him, Joe. He's gonna go put that in some guy's bed and
that with one blow. It's hard to get through a human head in one neck in one blow. You need a big, heavy, sharp sword. This motherfucker went through a horse head neck. That's a strong, big, meaty, muscly, bony fucking neck. That's hard to do. That's fucking hard to do.
Duke Chronic says Mount Buckethead, and Ghetto Toad also says I want to get some high guard.
Mount Buckethead for sure. The helmet does is just looks like a big frickin' like dirty bucket on his head.
He's gonna pull out the guitar and start going.
Right.
Ghetto Toad says I want some high grade Aaron grown crop. Dragon says doesn't anyone else hear Littlefinger out Renly right there?
Oh, no, nobody really cared. Everybody knows he's in the court. He's Robert's younger brother, and from what I gathered, even from reading the story, I don't think gay is a big deal in Westeros at all.
It's a don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah, it's a don't ask, don't tell. People do what they do. It's known to happen amongst,
It's don't ask, don't tell almost everywhere except for Dorne, where it's just, everyone, who gives a shit?
Right, everybody
Everyone
fucks everybody.
everyone.
Like, it's not a big deal. There hasn't been any, and I think that's might change by the end of the books when they do certain things. But,
right. Spoiler alert, with maybe some characters that might be entering the story in Season 5.
Right, but for the most part, across Westeros, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. So
it's a huge deal.
So Gregor cuts his horse head completely off, and he goes plants it in some poor movie producer's bed to get Johnny Fontaine that part. And the crowd is stunned. Gregor then attacks Loris, knocking him off his horse, striking him down, getting ready to kick his ass. And then, where's the bell? Ding, 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 ding. Clegane Bowl 1 happens here.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing to see them start throwing swords on each other. He gets his sword in just in time to save Loris's life.
Okay, I feel like before we go any further down this road, let's start off by saying no person inside that entire fucking stadium was happier than the Hound. The look of the Hound's face when they shifted over to him when the Mountain got knocked on his ass was just hilarious.
He was like,
so satisfied.
But let me ask you a question. Let me ask you this. Knowing what we heard about the Mountain and the Hound last week, or last episode, the episode before this, knowing what we heard and how much he must hate his brother, do you feel like he did this to save Loris's life, or do you feel like he did this to save the Mountain's life? Because surely, if he kills Renly right there in front of everybody like that, that's straight up murder. This is a tournament. This is fun. Be a good sport. You got knocked off your horse. Loris won. Get on with your fucking life. He goes and tries to murder him straight out, and I think that would meet the Mountain's head.
I'll go. What was that, Katie? What were you saying?
No, I don't think that he's doing it for his brother.
I think if anything, I'm gonna kind of go in between you guys. Ooh, that sounds sexy. I'm gonna say I think he might have been doing it for the Lannisters ultimately, knowing that the Mountain is such a big important part of their armies and stuff like that. That in a sense he was doing what you were saying, Joe, protecting the Mountain's life right there. But by protecting,
seriously, I'm not sure. I have no real idea because I can't see why he would want to save Loris's life. What does he have to do with Loris at all that we've seen? And so the only thing I could think of is he's saving his brother's life. He knows his brother's going to come after him. He sees his brother coming across, just cut off the horse's head. So the only reason in my mind is to save his brother's life.
He does have a little good heart in him, the Hound.
he does.
And like his brother's done a lot of damage. He's like, if he's going to go up against anyone who's being cruel to anyone else, it's going to be his brother.
Okay.
And let's get into it. The important question, as Dragon put it, another good fight. Who wins if Robert doesn't stop the fight?
Oh.
Yeah.
Who wins?
Who wins? I think the Hound ends up winning there. I think his skill and speed would end up winning over the Mountain's
outright rage.
Outright rage.
Like brute rage.
You know?
He's on tilt there too. The Mountain is totally Renly. Loris put the Mountain on tilt a little bit too, so he's not.
You know, and here's the thing too. You can't go always by this one beats that one, so this one would win in a fight, or this one beat that one and that one, so he would automatically beat this one, even though this one lost to that one.
Variables.
And all variables and all that. Like, so thinking about these two straight up, and they have a huge history. I'm gonna say it comes down to if one of them makes a mistake, maybe. I think because it's tough to know. The Mountain is regarded as maybe the most powerful, best warrior. Most powerful warrior.
Let's check out.
Is smarter.
I think so too.
Let's check out the chat room for a second, see what a couple people think in there. Geno Toad says the Hound was quick in that moment.
He was so quick. He got all the way down from the stands and saved Loris's life. Absolutely.
Loris went code brown.
Oh yeah. He didn't even try to get it. Once he was on his back, he stopped moving. He was like, "Fuck, I'm dead." He did. He went complete code brown.
Ren says, like Robert said to Catelyn, it's your gods with all your rules. It's your gods with all your rules. Richie says Tywin would find a loophole and find a way to save the Mountain if it came down to it. Ren says no way. He hates his brother with a passion about Sandor in the Mountain. Vaughn says I think he just did it for his own reasons. He said fuck it. I just feel like fighting and jumped him. Or just said fuck it and jumped him. Freddie says, I think the Hound would want to kill his fucking brother.
And that affords him the opportunity to kill his brother.
Yes, because he can't just
because he's saving this guy Loris's life. They would have looked at it like he saved Loris's life by killing the Mountain.
Duke Chronic says that armor would tire him out fast, I think talking about the Mountain. The Hound was just strong enough to slice the Mountain down too. Dragon says first mistake equals first to die, as you were saying in that fight. Vaughn says he just needed the right moment. And yeah, I knew what you meant. I even, as I was saying it, Ren, knew that you meant Ned, not Robert, in that moment. But I just, as I'm Ron Burgundy, I read whatever's written in front of me. So I said Robert. But yes, when Ned said to Catelyn, it's your gods with all your rules and stuff. And also from Big Kev, welcome Big Kev, having a rockin' show tonight. Get to hear some Game of Thrones talk while playing some poker. And I want to smoke some of that High Garden as long as it doesn't come out of someone's ass when they bring it back to my land in Westeros. Very good point, my friend Kev. Good luck in the cards. Good luck.
Standards are important.
Good luck in cards. Don't go all mountain tilt. Don't get on tilt like the Mountain and make some poor decisions. So the crowd's stunned. Gregor attacks Loris, knocking him off his horse, striking him with swords. The Hound runs down. And from the stands, they face off in the power battle as the music rises in Clegane Bowl 1. And you can tell, like, the look on Robert's face as he's watching it. He's upset, but he's also, like, connecting to that bloodlust inside of him somewhere and feeling the fight. Who knows what he's flashing back to? But the feeling on Robert almost looks possessed.
Oh yeah, he lets them fight for I don't know, 30 seconds of armored combat is a lot. And he lets them go at it for like 30 seconds. They take a few swings at each other, a few blocks and parries, and it was I loved it. I loved every second of that action. And this is just the start of the action for this episode.
Right. In the episode
Awesome.
that this was one of my favorite fights in the episode, Jeff.
It was one of my out of the fights that were in this episode, I think they're all pretty much tied, in my opinion, for how much I liked them and enjoyed them in the moment, and how exciting this episode ends up being.
I think I enjoy the last one a little bit more, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Last fight.
The last.
Yeah, I mean, there's some. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get there. We have a long way to go. We'll get there. So here we go in the second.
Hold on. When Robert does stand up and he ends the fight, he says, "Stop it now in the name of your king. End this." The Hound immediately just one knee, head down, bows to the king, and the Mountain comes down with this fucking swing of this massive broadsword that he's got. It's huge. The thing is at least 5 feet long, two-handed. It's like 6 inches wide. It comes down, and it just comes like right across the Hound's face, almost takes off. If the Hound hadn't moved fully back into the kneeling position, he would have lost his head in that moment.
Yeah.
It was just like the flash of that sword going across my screen. Still, every time I see it, I'm like, oh, that was close.
It is so close. I love how the Hound just doesn't give a fuck when he's bowing. He's just like, I don't give a fuck about
that. And he like bows and then just storms off. Like,
what I mean is when the Mountain does that last slice as the Hound's like kneeling down.
He doesn't give a shit. He's gonna kill him.
Yeah, and the Hound doesn't give a shit if he gets killed there either. He doesn't dodge the slice. He just kneels and it misses him. It misses his head. He's like, and the sword's just like that. It's pretty awesome. And a couple of comments from the chat room. Dragon says Joffrey has this weird look in his face the whole time, and I'm gonna add like he's coming in his pants for the.
Oh yeah.
And Vaughn says like a former football player in the crowd watching a close game. I know the feeling. And so do I actually. When you used to be in the band or you used to play in the field, and I can't even sit in a fucking Pop Warner game again. I'm kidding. So, Joe does too. Joe, a former athlete of sorts, and Joffrey loves
like no. When I watch some sports on television or some fighting, like sometimes when I watch UFC or when I watch football, or if I'm watching like Olympic judo or wrestling, I twitch. Like I'm watching what's going on, and my body twitches like small little muscle memories from when I used to do that stuff many years ago. Like
Jeff was a rat. Jeff. I'm sorry, I just called you Jeff for some reason.
You get into it. You're like, oh yeah, you can feel yourself get into it, and like it must be the same for them. They're just so into it. And Joffrey, he's just. The violence is what he loves, no matter what kind of violence. I'm sure he'd much rather be performing it than watching it.
Ghetto Toad said it perfectly, though. Joffrey loves a fight, and I'd add love violence
as long as he's not in it, right?
Yep.
So we continue here. Sandor takes the bow, and then the Mountain storms off. Stop this madness in the name of your king. Excuse me. And in the Mountain storms off, and Robert says, "Let him go." And then Loras goes to the Hound and says, "I owe you my life, sir," and holds up his hand. He goes, "I'm no sir," as the crowd cheers for the Hound, and he looks very uncomfortable with the crowd cheering for him. Very, very uncomfortable.
And here is where you have the first hand raised for a champion. This is where it all stems from.
And Duke Chronic,
different place, different time.
Duke Chronic, I know the question you're asking, that Clegane 2 thing. We're not going to really touch upon that too much. We'll talk about that more in some of the Season 5 stuff when we do some spoiler book club thingy podcasts and stuff. We'll definitely deal with that issue at a later date. So then we cut over to stopping for a rest, presumed on the King's Road on the way to Winterfell, apparently. We hear Catelyn Stark, and she says, "Remove the hood." And we hear the singing song, the annoying song, "On that eve the captive imp wads the horse into the imp." Whatever. and Tyrion, I fucking... Okay, this episode had no Daenerys in it, no Jon Snow. It was mainly a stuff in King's Landing happening, it was all King's Landing stuff, and Tyrion and Catelyn going to the Eyrie stuff. I can't say it enough. I feel like I repeat myself. Every scene that Peter Dinklage is in, he steals, and he's amazing. Him in this whole entire moment, from beginning to end in this attack, and everything he says leading up to the first thing when he goes, am I starting to make too much sense? Very wise. I'd stab someone with my own blade. What kind of an idiot would do that? Right to the last thing when Braun goes, you really need a woman. And he looks at Lady Stark and he goes, oh, well, I'm down if she's down, or something to that effect.
If she's willing.
If she's willing, I'm down. So he says, this isn't the King's Road. I thought we were riding to Winterfell. She says, I did, often and loudly. He said, very wise. They'll be in the road. And then he makes sure he opens his mouth and says, everyone knows a Lannister always pays his debts. And my father...
Wink, wink.
My father would pay a lot for this information. And Tyrion says, untie me. Why did I do that? What am I going to run? The Hill Tribes would kill me for my boots. Unless a shadow cat ate me first. And Tyrion...
Right? I mean, right? He's so smart. He's so smart. Like, because as soon as the hood comes off, he's figuring out where he is. You said we were going the King's Road. I said it loud and many, many, many times, you know, and so it's just brilliant. And then when he says the shadow cat thing, she's like, oh, there are no shadow cats around. He's like, oh, so we must be going to the Vale.
Yep. Oh, the Vale. Oh, your sister.
Or a shadow cat won't get you, or whatever, however it was put. He knew that because of her answer, he knew that he must be going in a specific direction, and that was towards her sister. He's clever. He's smart. This man is a genius.
He can fight.
And he is a brilliant little fucking fighter.
So much.
Love him. Love this motherfucker.
And I love the counterpoint between how serious Michelle Fairley, or I think I pronounced her name right there, plays every scene as Catelyn Stark, and how just Tyrion's attitude and the way the two of them play off each other. Game of Thrones as a show, the show itself, not talking about the work in general, but the show itself is excellent at putting these two actors together and getting these amazing team, an odd couple at different times. And Catelyn is
got a feeling you put Dinklage with anyone and you get amazing stuff. Yeah, I've seen him in some pretty bad movies, but the stuff that he's doing elevates the stuff that other people are doing. He's amazing. He's an absolutely amazing actor. It's one of my favorite parts of Nip Tuck. Like when that show started to lose me, that's my first.
Crab hands.
Yeah, he's the nanny. You know?
Oh, with the claw hands. Right?
Oh gosh, Nip Tuck. That was my first introduction. To be honest, that was my first introduction to Peter Dinklage.
I think it was mine too.
And he stole every scene he was on in that show, and he also stole one of the main characters' girlfriends, wives, excuse me, and which was a very hilarious moment in that show. So Tyrion said, "We're going into the Eastern Road, the Vale. You're taking me to see your sister to answer for my imagined crimes." Now, then he just goes into it. When was the last time you've seen your sister? He's seen her a lot more recently down at King's Landing. And I wrote in my notes, Tyrion is so fucking funny here. It's just something about his voice and the attack of what he says. Every scene that Tyrion is the best scene ever. And I'm just going, it's funny that's what I wrote in my notes. I'm going to read what Ghetto Toad wrote. Every scene, every line, every episode, love Tyrion.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, it doesn't get any better than Tyrion.
Yeah. When was the last time you saw Liza? She's changed.
She's not the same person you knew.
Dude, she
is.
Well, she's beyond. Oh my goodness. That woman.
She's always been a bit touched, but now you might as well kill me here.
Perched in that nest is a good place for that cuckoo, that's for sure.
And this is where he gets into the whole thing about the dagger, and he goes, what kind of an imbecile arms an assassin with their own blade? And then Sir Roderick goes, should I gag him? And he goes, what, am I starting to make fucking sense?
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Way
exactly.
Too much.
So almost right on cue, a rock slams into one of Catelyn's men.
Hard, too. I was like, did that dude just get shot? Like... and it made this thud sound. And then you start seeing the other rocks flying, and it's real. Everybody just scatters, and Tyrion's like, cut me free, cut me free. They start fighting. There's melee going on everywhere. The hill folk that Tyrion was just talking about have now attacked the group of them. It was awesome seeing Braun there. Like Braun was like, oh, he smelled the money and he went with it. He was like, oh, I made a gold dragon off of this guy in the inn. I'll make some money off of Catelyn Stark. I'll go on that journey. And like we don't even know really who this guy is at all.
We just know he's cutting motherfuckers down.
And he's doing a great job. And when Catelyn cuts the imp free as all this melee is going, Roderick, is that his name, Roderick?
Yeah, Sir Roderick.
Sir Roderick is kicking ass too. He's going nuts. And as soon as he cuts Tyrion free, Tyrion grabs a shield and he's looking at the horse. He's looking at Catelyn. He's looking at the horse. He's like, and like Catelyn's just cowering on the ground with this little like fucking butter knife in her hand, her letter opener, right? That she just cut off the duct tape on Tyrion's hands, right? And like this melee, like axes and clubs above her with shields, and Tyrion runs over just in time, knocks this dude down, and starts bashing the pointy edge of his shield into this guy's face for the remainder of the fight. He doesn't move to save Catelyn's life, his captor's life. He just
destroys
like 30 times in this face the point of the shield over. Everybody else is still fighting. There's still more people to die. Someone can come up behind him, but he doesn't care. He's just like,
like everyone else is done, and,
and then they just walk up behind him. He's still going.
They could have put a graphic down 20 minutes later, and she's still just going and banging.
It was like a Family Guy joke, like grabbing the knee. It's so long over.
A couple of comments here. Ren Renwood, awesome information. I was curious. The shield that Tyrion grabbed was House Bracken. Interesting. Dragon says that's when you get the first time you get to see how badass Braun is. And Richie says that dude throwing rocks had some serious aim. Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah, it was a sling. They were using slings.
That was Dennis the Menace. So
that was some David Goliath technology right there, using that sling. That shit'll take you out. Hurts.
Ren says, I saw you kill a man with a shield. You'll be unstoppable with an axe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So another tribesman nearing Catelyn, as we said, and he's just blasted the shit out of him. And then when they're all done, Roderick kind of got a slash to the back of his shoulder, but he's a fucking animal. He was just clawing. Him and Braun just basically take out most of the guys. And he says, I'll be...
Roderick's in the zone, like they come up behind him, and he's still like...
Yeah, he's terminating right now. Like, fuck these motherfuckers.
He was so cute.
Like, it was almost like the 300 moment. You almost expected someone to yell like, "Hurrah!" and everybody else to like smack their shields and scream with them. Like, it was just so fucking epic.
See,
like,
it made me think of Braveheart. He looked like a Scottishman.
Oh yeah, with the way he does his hair, especially.
Like he should have been wearing a kilt.
So he and this is where we get our line, and someone said it in the chat room. This is the moment that I think Tyrion really, not just for money. I think Braun starts to like Tyrion here.
Oh yeah, especially he's like, you ever killed a man? And he's like, or this your first kill? Tyrion's like, yes. He goes, now you need a woman. And he looks right over at Catelyn, the only woman in sight, and he's like, well, I'm game if she is. If she's willing, I'm down.
Yeah, the line, just to get it correct, is, well, I'm willing if she is.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's hilarious. And Braun chuckles, and then they move on, and they all mount up, and pretty much they go on their way.
Okay.
And it's interesting to note that at this point out, he's not bound anymore.
Nope. No.
They don't bind him back up.
Because he could have run if he wanted to, and Catelyn knows.
He could have run.
Absolutely.
They would, but he knows too, and I'm sure it's not hard to figure out. If he did run, they'd have caught him.
Yeah, well, he just proved his earlier point too. It's if the hill people don't get me, something
right.
will.
Exactly.
Maybe not the Shadow Cat, but
it's Big Kev. I that's a weird thing. Big Kev is saying for some reason he can never post in chat. He can watch the show. He always has to post questions and like log out. That's fucked up shit, man. I'm gonna look into it between now and the next show. See if we can figure out how to get you into the live chat, because it's shitty that it boots you every time. So back at Winterfell, Master Lewin, and I fucking love this scene. I love these early Bran scenes because this actor is just so biting and just such a little fucking like plays this too smart for his own good type wise ass, and his interactions with Master Lewin, these two just have a great bond together, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this scene. I really enjoyed this scene.
I did too. I mean, he's acting his age. He's hurt right now. He can't walk. He's in
Pouting.
he's pouting, but he has, as far as I'm concerned, he has every right to pout. He's a newly crippled boy, you know.
And his mom left.
And his mom just
What the
took off. His
hell?
dad left. You know, he woke up watching his dad leave. He woke up crippled, and his dad never came back.
Yep, and
Like, really, the King Robert wasn't like, oh, you have tragedy here. Why don't you stay here for a couple of months, and then when he's better, come down to King's Landing and start being my hand.
yeah,
I'll pick an interim. I see that this is a bad time. No, Robert's just like, come on, we're going.
Robert gives little shits. He doesn't care.
Really, my son just got fucking.
Yeah, no fucks from Robert there. So back at Winterfell, Master Lewin and Bran are at a small table. Lewin's trying to teach Bran, kind of go down the, learn house words, things like that. Check out Joe's map, figure out where everybody is. Master Lewin says, Bran, we hear about the Iron Islands. We get a little bit of exposition on the Iron Islands here. The sigil is a kraken. Their words, we don't sow, which I think are some of the stupidest words of anybody. But it's very fitting for the Ironborn.
It is.
Master,
They're not farmers. They're gonna take that shit.
we don't sow. Yeah, we don't sow. We're fucking.
It's not badass, but it's old, is what it is. It's a very old saying.
We don't sow. And Theon, who's trying to be cocky, we're famed for our skills at archery and navigation and lovemaking. And Master Lewin goes and failed rebellion.
And failed rebellions. Yep.
Guys, let's talk for a second here about the Greyjoy rebellion. We talked a little bit before about the fact that they stayed outside of the war. They let all the other armies kind of be hurt by the big revolution, by Robert's rebellion, and then they waited till afterwards, till Robert was king, felt he didn't have a good hold on the throne, and now we're gonna start our little fight. Ha 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 ha! While you guys are all weak, and then everybody just joined together for one big badass, like, let's get the team back together and went and wiped the fucking floor with the Ironborn, even in their strong places. Like Stannis kicked their ass at sea. It was just a big, and Barristan led some missions on sea as well. It was just like a big ass rape of the Greyjoys, basically.
Yeah.
That's the short story of the rebellion. Is ass rape for
up and down the coast, but you know, they for the most part they were very ill prepared for what they were doing.
They had no follow through and no exit strategy.
Yep.
Yeah. Family, duty, honor. Is that the right order? Family.
Then why did my mommy leave? I'm family.
Where is she? And it's good to point out that, or we should point out that he's kind of playing the game. He is digging the shit out of the table the whole time with a little. Is it a fish pendant? Is that what he's?
A tully pin.
A tully pin.
Renwood says.
Yeah, a tully pin. Oh, thank you, Ren. Yeah, ripping it up with a tully pin. And right when Lewin mentions the Lannisters, he says a Lannister always pays his debts. He goes, no, a common saying, but that's not their motto, and that sets Bran off. So he might not remember anything, but it's definitely something's in there. And we're still on words. I don't know them, and he says a couple of the words: unbowed, unbent, unbroken. That's House Martell. Righteous in wrath. That's House Hornwood. Family, duty, honor. Yep, those are the words. Yep. Are we playing some sort of game, Bran?
Yeah. Yes, we are, Master
Yes,
Lewin.
we are, motherfucker. Family, duty, honor. Is that right? Is that the right order? Huh? Just with this, like, such a little prick. I love it. I love Bran at this moment. He's just so... The actor's just representing how Bran must feel really well in this moment, in the frustration that a kid that is too smart for his own good must feel in that moment.
Yeah.
And your mother had to leave to protect Winterfell. How could she protect her family if she's not with her family? Your mother sat by her bed for weeks. I don't care. Then why the fuck did she leave? Well, when you were born, I pulled you from your mother. She really cares about you. Oh, okay. So she cares about me. Why did she leave? I can't tell you, but she'll be home any day. Oh, do you know where she is today? No. Well, how do you know she'll be home tomorrow?
Too smart.
I hope she gets home soon though, because that boy needs him.
He really,
He does. Yeah.
And it'll be such a nice reunion.
it really will be. I think hopefully that will happen by the end of the season.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking is all this is going to wrap up nicely.
Well, she's about halfway there.
Yeah.
Or a quarter of the way there. She set out from King's Landing. Somewhere along the King's Road, she ends up taking the Lannister, and then they take a bolt into the Eyrie, and they're right up in here.
If they're
in the mountains.
Vale.
Right, but they're going to the Eyrie, so this is all the Vale.
Funny.
But that one specifically is the Vale of Aaron.
Ren Renwood says Arya has also been known to say the same words. We do not so. And Freddie says the Ironborn burned the Lannister fleet, but Stannis was able to get the Navy together for the most part. So who gives a shit? They burned some people in Lannisport, as we heard in the last episode when with Tyrion and.
Yeah, like I said, they do some damage up and down the coast, some good damage, but that's about all they managed to really do.
Yeah. So Master Lewin. So then he goes. Bran kind of just keeps going and about this, but then he changes the subject and he looks at Theon shooting an arrow and he says, "Well, I'll never fire an arrow again." And Master Lewin goes, "Where is that written? I need legs to make a bow work." And he says, "No." And this is the first time in this moment that it's not anger, it's feeling sorry for himself. And Lewin does what he's supposed to do, and he's just perfect in this role. And you can tell he just loves Bran and loves all these kids so much.
And here's the thing too, like this whole like wait till your saddle gets built shit. I don't understand. Throw him on a chair sideways and start teaching him now.
Yeah.
Get a little boy on a bench.
And you figure they will.
Sit down. Say again?
I said that you figure that they probably will. It's just basically him trying to get him. Cheer up here, kid. Cheer up here.
That would be a great way to cheer him up, don't you think? Putting a bow in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, he could do it in a chair, just sitting bow-legged on a chair, or on top of a Hodor.
Right, you know.
Learn how to shoot arrows while mounted Hodor. I'll take Hodor form. So here we go into exposition sex scene number 1 of the episode, to Theon's quarters while he's giving it to Roz from behind.
Oh, check out our Roz interview if you haven't, somewhere in the channel. Not the interview, but
the press conference thing.
Press conference, right? Roz and Hodor.
Where I believe Joe asked her about this scene. Was it this scene you asked her about? You were very specific about her nudity in one of your questions.
Was I? I don't even remember. I'd have to watch the video again.
We will. So you guys will have to check out that video. I'll try to put the link in this description to that video to make it easier. So Theon says, "Keep it down. You're not supposed to be here." They break or finish or whatever. We get Theon.
Who she would have wanted to have a scene with or something like that. And I don't remember.
Yeah, we'd have to watch it back. So they break and we get a little shot of Theon's dick, and we also learn that Theon needs to feel better than someone. Like we didn't know it already, but we're getting more of a vibe that he always needs to, when he feels like he's in a slightly different, higher plane of life or higher lot in life than someone, he really likes to show off his power. Any opportunity to have power or to show power over somebody. And I don't know, this kid needs a hug. But he's jealous, and it goes into a whole conversation about having sex with Tyrion and what's it like to have sex with a dwarf. And she goes into him being good with his fingers and his tongue. And ultimately it just gets to be a little bit more exposition about the Greyjoys. We've been lords of the Iron Islands for 300 years. There's not a family in Westeros that can look down on us, not even the Lannisters. And we also hear a little bit more about how he thinks of, or he refers to the Starks as lords. He gives them the lord's respect. He doesn't treat himself like a lord. He treats himself like a member of the house.
Right.
Which Roz says a ward. That's a nice word for it. Your father rebelled against the king, Robert.
Oh, she gets him good. She burns him good.
Yeah, and if he does it again, he'll die. And Theon grabs her neck from behind, and my father fought for the freedom of his people. What did your father do? Fucked a cook and raised a whore. And it's basically just to show that the Iron Barn aren't going to really give up, and they're just a bunch of really angry, uptight motherfuckers. So it's a good a backstory sex scene, whereas we're treading lightly over this. And another Game of Thrones character that's good with his tongue.
Oh yeah.
That would bother Cat more than the dire wolves. The noises from the stables would be too funny. Theon gave her the business. On top of Hodor, they've got a stable full of Hodors.
Oh yeah. If Catelyn were around, Theon would be in big trouble for this. This would never happen.
Yeah, which is probably why he's
brazen enough to do it, is because while the the parents went away on a week's vacation, I think I'll find the keys to the brand new Porsche.
Should he ride? No, of course not.
Get it.
Yeah, end scene. So another backstory sex scene. So then when he tells her, she ends up ultimately being smart and just telling him what he wants to hear in this situation, and just kind of feeding into him, and like,
until he's like, I want it for free, and she's, no, dude, you don't get it for free.
Get yourself a wife, motherfucker.
Right.
I hate.
Just kind of storms off. He doesn't even pay for another go around.
Vaughn says, just about everybody hates, everyone burns Theon. Oh, poor Theon. Kato Toad says, I hate Theon's arrogance. He needs to be brought down a peg or two.
That would be nice to see that happen.
That would be nice to see this. Dragon says, Theon is the Meg of Westeros. Yes, he is. Shut up, Theon. Shut up, Theon. So here we go back to the Kings. In fact, I just wanted to get through that Theon scene. If you could tell, we were so inspired to talk about those Theon scenes. We're like, yeah, and Theon fucks Roz, and we hear about the Ironborn. Yep. So Arya's back at King's Landing, and she's running through the halls, and she's chasing a cat, and she's seen running down a hallway, and she goes, "Come on, kitty, I'm not gonna hurt you." And we see Ned in his chambers at his desk, and Varys is speaking to him, walking around, securing all the windows and the doors, and making sure everything's shut down before he can talk to him a little bit more serious. And we've met Varys before, but this episode was really our introduction to the Spider, when it really comes down to it. We've been much more, if other members of the council, we've been a little bit more in Littlefinger's perspective. So far, this episode was a little bit more getting to see Varys and learning more about him.
Yeah.
So Varys says, closes all the doors, how is your son? Ned says he'll never walk again, but his mind's sound. And he says, it's a blessing. I suffered an early mutilation myself. Some doors close forever as he closes the door in the most unexpected places. And he said, if the wrong ear heard what I said, I'm about to tell you, who would mourn Varys? The north, the south, they sing songs of spiders, blah, 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 blah. So he just kind of talks around, and he says, the king is a fool, you're his friend, but I know you're not a fool, and we're all doomed unless you save the king. And he says, I've been in the capital a month, why have you waited so long to tell me this? And he said, I didn't trust you, but why do you trust me now? And he said, the queen's not the only one that's watching you. There's few men in the capital that have as much honor as you. You seem to be one of them. And I'm another one, as strange as it seems. And Ned, who's not really believing this whole thing, but kind of just letting the spider spin his tail, says, what sort of doom does the king face? And Varys says, the same sort that Jon Arryn. And he mentions specific.
That gets his attention a little bit.
It does. His head peeks up, and he says, the tears of Lys. Of Lys, they call it?
Lys. Tears of Lys. Lys is, Is it on this map? Oh.
The Tears of Lys, Joe is looking for. And this is they call it, as Joe looks for it, a rare, costly thing. It's tasteless as water. It leaves no trace. It's kind of like Ryzen. And Ned gets up. Now he's believing it. And he goes, who gave it to him? And he goes, a dear friend, no doubt, but which one? There are many. He implies that maybe it was the boy, the kid that Ned was investigating, that got all the armor and everything. That he owed everything he had to Jon Arryn, and the squire says, you and Varys says, pity what happened to him just when his life seemed to be going nicely. I love the way he never actually says anything, but he implies it. What do you think of Varys? Are you a fan of Varys, Joe?
Okay, let me start with the actor. Guy's absolutely fucking amazing. I can't speak highly enough. Again, of the casting done by the producers and the directors, and this guy, I'm not gonna look up his name, but he's really good at what he does. I love the character Varys. I love the way it was written in the books. I love the way he portrays the character in this story, this adaptation. I love him. I love the way he speaks. I love especially all the scenes that the scene coming up with Peter
Yeah,
in
with
the throne room. Wow, that's such great, the back and forth they have with each other. He speaks poetically, and I really like it. I like the way he delivers his lines. I like his expressions.
It's almost in coda. Here we go. Sorry, Joe. Speak. Go. Here we go.
That's Lys right here. Tears of Lys. This is the island of Lys. Some sort of poison that's from around here.
From that area right there.
It does look like a little tea. It points up too. It's got a little sack and a little whoop.
Ghetto Toad says Varys is a very comical character. He really is. There's just so much. He's so good at playing the deadpan and saying things in that way that he says things and the way that he eyes things without actually saying it. He's one of my favorite characters in the entire Game of Thrones series, and another one of the characters that I feel has expanded so much in the show because we don't really get into his head in the book, or Littlefinger for that matter. So seeing them be portrayed in different ways on the show and actually being able to visually get inside their head a little bit more from the intentions that the actors are putting into it, and I think especially with Varys, it adds so much, and I see what. Sorry, I'm about to talk about season 5 for a second.
Yeah, no. It's great because Varys is the only other character. There's 3 characters in my mind in this show that are highly intelligent, playing on a level far above everybody else. That's Tyrion,
Stannis. No, I'm kidding.
Tyrion, Varys, and Tywin, which is Tyrion's father, and we haven't met him yet. But when we do meet him, you understand exactly why the Lannisters are the way they are, and feared the way they're feared, as rich as people say, and you really get a feel for that family through the father.
Yeah, absolutely, and through his kids as well, but specifically from his father, because their family is all about their father. He basically created the modern Westeros version of their family is Tywin.
Yep.
So Varys says Dragon is. We already said that Varys is a very comical character. Dragon says didn't understand Varys's intentions at first, and I don't think Ned does either. I think that part of that is because we are supposed to. It makes a little bit more sense later when we see that him and Littlefinger have a game of chess going on of some sort. That Ned is inside Littlefinger's ear, and up until this point, we've only been inside Littlefinger. So tonight we're really starting to try to figure out what the fuck's going on with Varys. What's really going on inside there. For your information, the effects of the poison cause a sickness in the bowels and belly, eating away at them. Interesting. That's from Westeros.org. Ren says, poor Liza living with that. And Tim says, okay, Joe, just change things for every show because it was the Walking Dead comics and now he has Game of Thrones map. Yeah, so yes, he does. Joe keeps great backgrounds and gives us a Westeros geography lesson, Joe and Katie give us over there at Joe's studio. You're muted right now, Joe, for whatever reason, if you know.
Oh, does that make me a corny nerd?
No.
A little nerdy?
No, it makes you prepared, Joe. It makes you prepared. And so Varys, pity what happened to him. His life seemed to be going good. Stark says Jon was a man of peace. He was the Hand for 17 years. Why kill him? And Varys says the important thing out of this scene, he was asking questions. So we shift to a dark dungeon in King's Landing. I love this moment because it's one of the few times we get to see this, and it also answers something that we're talking about last episode when Viserys was talking about wondering about some of the dragon's heads, and I believe this is a Jostrus point that you wanted to talk about, something to do with the dragon heads in this moment. I think, but maybe you see if it triggers anything. If not, forget I said anything. So we shift.
You just, this is the first time in the series that it's no longer just stories of dragons. Yes, we heard Viserys say he saw them. They were in the throne room. We've heard other people talk about them. They're all about, the stories are all about them. But it's been 300 years since the last one died. No one has seen. I think it's 300 years. Nobody has seen a dragon that's living right now on the earth. So this is the first time we as an audience get to see that there were actually at least creatures that belonged to these skulls at some point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Good, very good point. And Get Into It says, we're all nerds. I mean, obviously, we're here on a Tuesday evening at almost midnight on the East Coast talking about a Game of Thrones episode that was on how many years ago? And, like, it was brand new. So, yeah, I think we're all loving every single fucking second of it. So yeah, I think it's proud
I had the Lambda shirt on.
Yeah, and I'm wearing Splinters coming here. I mean, come on. Come on. So, knife to the back of the head, Joe. Yep, drink. Dragon says, I agree. Keep doing your thing, Joe. And so we shift to this dark dungeon at King's Landing. Arya's chasing the cat. She stops to admire a huge, and I mean a fucking huge dragon skull. This thing's as big as, I don't even know how to compare it to, but it's fucking huge. It's the size of an elephant. Just the head.
I got my Game of Thrones beer, too.
Oh, how is it? Does it taste good?
I haven't. No, I'm waiting for
special occasion, the premiere.
First episode this season. I'm gonna drink it on air with you. And Katie and I are gonna share a glass while we're talking about the. I'll let you know how it is then.
Excellent. So yeah, I would say the size of this head is like almost the size of an elephant or something, just the size of the head of this fucking dragon. So she hears two men talking, and she hides for them just in earshot. And the two men are Varys and Ilario, the dude that was protecting Daenerys and Viserys that we met in the first episode that was protecting them for a while. And we hear Varys say, "We found one bastard already. He has the book. The rest will come." Ilario says, "And he knows the truth. What will he do?" Then Varys says, "The gods alone know. The fools try to kill his son. What's worse, they botched it. The wolf and the lion will be at each other's throats. We will be at war soon, my friend." And he says,
I love it, because we've seen this character before that he's with. You get a glimpse of him just enough to see that it's the magistrate from Pentos right here, and he's traveled across to King's Landing for this meeting in the dungeon basement of the castle at King's Landing. It's kind of a strange place to be having this conversation, if you ask me. There could be so many people around to be meeting in such a, coming out of whatever tunnel you're coming out of with this guy would look a little strange. This guy wandering around in these weird places would look a little. It just seemed like a strange place for that conversation to be going on. And I can't stress how much I loved those dragons. And yeah, I think, as Ren points out, that I was talking about the size of the dragon heads, and it's huge. It's taller than Arya. It's at least a couple of feet over Arya's head. And if this is where they put all the dragon heads, there's even some small ones that are like the size of baseballs, which is the last ones that were born that Viserys was talking about. No bigger than like a poodle or something like that.
And Ilario says, "What good is war now? We're not ready. If one hand can die," and that's what Dragon was saying too. If one hand can die, why not a second? Varys says, "This hand is not the other." This hand.
Yeah, this hand I think is probably not as street smart as the other.
So you would say that Jon Arryn was more street smart than Ned Stark?
I gotta say, he spent at least the last 18 years as the Hand of the King in King's Landing. Ned and Robert were both raised essentially in the Vale by Jon Arryn.
He did marry Goofy Goofballs, though.
He had to have a child, and he hadn't had a wife, and it was a marriage born to help the rebellion, to kind of seal
absolutely.
the Tullys in on the rebellion against the Mad King.
Yeah, it was in the same breath that Ned was having to complete his brother's vow and marry Catelyn. It was all in the same fail
Right.
swoop.
Both the daughters got married off to other
Lords.
other lords, and that kind of forced the Lord of Riverrun, Catelyn and Lisa's father, to be on Robert's side in that whole rebellion. So
Varys continues, or they continue. We need time. Will not make this. Drogo will not make this move until his son is born. You know these savages. Varys says, "Delay, you say, move fast." I reply, "This is no longer a game for two players." And Ilario says, "It never was." I just wanted to make sure all those lines got heard. As the two men leave,
and that is so is Viserys, does he want the Dothraki horde to invade? Is that
I don't know, dude. I don't know what's going on with these two.
Because I was pretty believing that he was in it for the realm, and now I'm like, oh wow, now he wants this horde to invade, but he's telling Ned he wants the king to live. Like, what is this guy's fucking play?
Did Varys kill Jon Arryn and he's just covering it all? Is he really to blame for all of this?
I don't know. Maybe he's. I mean, you definitely get the feeling like whatever it is, things are moving a little too fast for him.
Yeah.
At the moment, everything's not quite ready yet because of what the magistrate says about the Dothraki won't go until the kid is born, or something like that. Right? They say that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He does say that.
So.
Balerion the Dread was so big that he could swallow our whole horse. Fucking
yep.
Dragon says
smaller. Probably because they just keep inbreeding the dragons. There weren't a lot of them, and just like the Targaryens, they're until the line eventually is just so corrupt from all the inbreeding that you get the Mad King.
Dragon says Ned was never a political person. Jon Arryn was. So yeah, Jon Arryn understood the game a little bit better. But who do you think they consider more expendable when it really comes down to it? And I guess Jon Arryn because Ned is more of a friend to Robert when it comes down to it. So the two men leave. Varys, and to answer your question about a place to have this meeting, you talked about this in one of the first episodes, I believe. This was one of our only opportunities to really also, speaking of size, to expand and understand how big the dungeons in the below area is below King's Landing. It's a very vast area in the castle, and a lot of times on the show we spend a lot of time in the throne rooms or in the Tower of the Hand, but the dungeons and the areas where Arya's running around, where these dragon skulls are, it goes pretty fucking deep.
Yeah, this is a huge place. It's a huge.
So it might not be the worst place for a clandestine meeting when Varys works there to find some weird random place that's connected to a body of water that Ilario can escape easily and get in and out of easily. I mean,
so you think she just followed them out, or I figured she had just kept wandering until she eventually got out.
Right. She just wandered deeper and deeper after they disappeared. She kept going deeper and deeper in the dungeon. And this what I wrote is this is the first time we really feel the size of King's Landing dungeon. And she just keeps walking. And then we get Varys entering the throne room where Peter Baelish is standing there looking at the throne, and it's time for some verbal chess between the two of them.
It's just three quick Varys scenes that are just all three of them are really good scenes.
Yeah, this being probably my favorite of them.
And you love Arya just being in that place and time, chasing after cats, totally lost. She missed the tournament because she was, lost trying to. She, as much as she loves to watch these tournaments, she would rather be able to fight in them someday and know what she's doing than to go sit and watch in the audience. So she's lost chasing the cats like her dance master has told her to do. You can catch cats, you'll be quick enough. You got to always stay quick.
And this is this is ultimately a tournament, or the final battle of a tournament, listening to the two of these guys just spar back and forth. No two people on Earth or in the universe of Westeros can say nothing but say everything at the same time. And these two, oh, when was the last time I saw you? Oh, when was the last time I saw you? You move quietly. Well, we do have qualities. You look a bit lonely today. You should pay a visit to my brothel. And then they start talking about, I've always wondered, do you like boys? Do you like girls? What's going on down there? And why are you thinking of down there? I mean, I could read every line back and forth they have, but they just go back and forth, and ultimately,
lots of little barbs and wordplay. They play on each other's words very well with how they interact with each other. It's very, again, and you see how Ned talks, and I love how they sandwich these scenes so close to each other, because you see how Ned talks with Varys, and Varys is very poetic with his words, and Ned's just like a caveman with everything he has to say or wants to say almost. Then he has this brief exchange with the magistrate, and it's still, Varys is very poetic, kinda, and the magistrate is not quite caveman, but succinct with what he has to say, and straightforward. And then you have this back and forth with Peter Baelish, and they are both just as poetic with their fucking insults and quips back and forth. It's really done very well. It shows how Varys is this just stalwart of like almost culture or whatever. It's really a great character point for him to see that.
Vaughn says Ned is more suited to keeping guys like the Boltons in check, not dealing with people like this. Absolutely.
And so the Boltons, they're from the north, and it's a small house. Their sigil is the Flayed Man. We'll see them later.
Yeah, we'll talk about them later. So Varys says, I thought thought beauty is subjective. No, is that true? I hear this guy likes amputees. Oh yes, and amputees, they like a full purse. I hear this guy likes fresh cadavers. Must be enormously difficult to find beautiful corpses. They rot. Strictly speaking, such a thing would not be in accordance with the king's law. Strictly speaking, I love how Varys just cuts the shit at a couple times and goes, Littlefinger, shut the fuck up. I'm done with your bullshit.
Yeah.
Tell me, does somewhere, and he kind of walks away.
Well, Varys drops a threat, like, I'm sure some people would be very interested in to know, just what you're doing with. I forget the exact threat. And he starts to walk away. Peter Baelish kind of calls him back and is like, "Oh yeah, I know about your meeting 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes ago, you little bitch."
But he doesn't necessarily say it like that. He stops him by saying, "Tell me, does someone somewhere keep your balls in a little box? I've always wondered that." And
as close as we were, I have no idea where they are now. Imagine that.
and then he gets into the whole thing. How have you been since the last time we saw each other? It's so Shakespearean here. Since you last saw me, or since I last saw you? No, the last time I saw you, you were talking to the hand of the king. Saw me with your own eyes, eyes I own.
Saw me with eyes I own. I love it. I love how they do this back and forth. It's so brilliant.
Council business, we have a lot to do. Everyone's well aware of your enduring fondness for Lord Stark's wife. If the Lannisters were behind the attempt on the Starks, blah, 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 blah. And one simple word, and this is where Varys threatens him. He goes, one simple word to the Queen about knowing that, okay, let me read this. If the Lannisters were behind the attempt on the Starks boy's life and it was discovered that you helped the Starks come to a conclusion, to think. One simple word to the Queen. And Baelish says, one shudders the thought. Just the way he says it, because he has, as you said, he has ammo in his gun.
Well.
And he goes, but you know something. I do believe I've seen you even more recently than you've seen me. Have you? Earlier today, I distinctly recall seeing you talking to Lord Stark in his chambers. And Varys goes, was that you under the bed? Not long ago, I saw you escorting a certain foreign dignitary, and right when he says that, Varys' face turns from jovial battling with my friend to holy shit, he does have me.
Yeah, it does. There's a big difference in his affect, and they both know that they both have each other, essentially.
Yeah, and it's essentially a Cold War of sorts. Like a Russian-United States Cold War of sorts, where they both have the nuclear bombs to destroy each other, but neither one of them will actually go through it.
I'm sorry, Phil. I like Ghetto Toad's analogy better. It's like watching Varys and Littlefinger's like watching Magneto and Dr. Xavier going at it, playing chess.
1 billion times better than what I said.
Yes.
In season 1. Sorry, I was thinking of Ivan Drago and Rocky.
There you go. That's better, Phil. Thank you.
That's what I meant.
Baby.
Isn't the whole Cold War summed up in Rocky IV? Come on.
Yes, it is.
So Dragon
That's
says,
where it was solved, isn't it? Didn't they tear down the wall right like the day after that movie aired?
if I can change, you can change. In season 1, we think it's the Lannisters versus the Starks, but this isn't whatever. It's ultimately a big carrying point of the series is Varys versus Littlefinger. That's welcome from Australia. Welcome from Australia. Just wanted to say I love your reviews. Awesome, dude. Keep up the good work. We will, and keep on checking back in and keep on sharing your thoughts about the episodes. Thank you so much for checking us out from Australia.
Thank you.
Holy shit! What time is it in Australia? That's my only question for you. What time is it in Australia? Just out of curiosity.
It's like 12 noon
Oh,
tomorrow.
crazy. So then he goes, console business, of course. You would have had friends across the narrow sea. That's where you're from, after all. We're friends, aren't we, Lord Varys? I'd like to think so. So can you imagine my burden, wondering if the king might question my friend's sympathies? To stand at crossroads where turning left means loyalty of friend, turning right. And then he just keeps going at it just to let Varys know who he's fucking with, that you're fucking with someone that has enough ammo in this moment to be able to, as we just said, put him in checkmate if he wants to put him in checkmate. So Varys just says, "Oh please, like cut the fucking shit." And Baelish, and this is where Renly enters, and he says, "What are you two conspiring about? Because you can totally read the situation. Whatever it is, you better hurry up. My brother's coming to a small council meeting. Disturbing news from far away," Varys says, and we exit off to them. So and that's the end of our Varys and our Littlefinger stuff. We'll definitely have to keep an eye on those two as time goes on.
I was close. It's 3 p.m. Yeah, it's still Tuesday here, so I was right about tomorrow afternoon, but it's actually, afternoon. So, it's 3 p.m. tomorrow. It's still Tuesday here in Boston, so.
So it's almost time for a beer. It's almost 5 o'clock.
It's 3 o'clock, yeah.
It's 3 o'clock, so it's that's time for a beer. That's time for a beer.
I was closest without going over.
So you win the Price is Right. Ding, 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 ding. That's really what it's about. It's funny how certain things just become the norm of society because the Price is Right. It's always that. No, you can't go over. Can't go over. If you go over,
Price is Right said it, man. They set the rules.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's amazing. So Arya exits the tunnel eventually outside of King's Landing at the beach of what? It's the Blackwater Bay that she comes out on. And we get a cool visual of King's Landing from outside the wall. We see some of the local city folk, and it's a cool visual of the outside of King's Landing. Oh wow, Ghetto Toads in England. It's 4 a.m. in England. Wow, we're all over the place, all over the map. Thank you guys for joining us from all over the world.
Super.
I shouldn't correct Joe, or it might just be a knife to the back of the head for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the family. I'm in the De Niro circle. I'm in the circle of trust. So
no. I am benevolent like Rick, and I still take advice from my troops.
So, as long as it agrees with what you're already thinking.
True, sweetheart.
So this is
the brains behind the operation, so if you end up with a knife behind the back of the head, it's actually her fault, not mine.
Hey.
12 a.m. in the Bronx here, and the Dragons from the same time zone as us here. We're from Boston folk over here. Ren says Robert has only attended about 3 meetings in 17 years. Holy shit. Holy shit.
Dragon, I want you to sum up in chat why it's the Bronx, not just Bronx, if it's not the Manhattan, the Brooklyn, the rest of the boroughs.
So we go on. We move on. So Arya heads to the city gate, but she's stopped by 2 guards, and one of the guards is like, "Off with you, no begging." And she goes, "I'm not a beggar. I live here." And the guard's like, "Do you want a smack of the air to help with your hearing?" And she goes, "I want to see my father." And one of the guards goes, "Well, I want to fuck the queen. How good that does me." And you want your father, boy? I'm not a boy. I'm a girl. My father's the hand of the king. I'm Arya Stark of Winterfell, and if you lay a hand on me, my father will have both your heads on spikes. She's learning.
Yeah, no, and so unless you want me to wrap you upside your ear, go get my fucking daddy.
This was hilarious. Game of Thrones knows how to be funny when it's funny too. It quickly cuts to Arya.
It's really awesome too because this is a girl who spent God knows frickin' how long trying to get out of that maze of a dungeon. emerges through the sewer that empties out on the beach. Seems a little like security is a little lax. Some people might be able to find their way up into the castle that way and rob the place.
Well,
but
they do padlock that gate.
yeah, apparently they lock up that gate. Like I don't. It was just a little strange to me. Like, oh, you won't let me through this gate? Well, I'll just go back through the tunnel I just came out of. You know. And she's not having any crap from them, just straight up, yo, I'm a fucking lady. I'm not even a girl. I'm a lady, yo, and you will do what I tell you to do.
Yeah, as Dragon says, love how Arya gives the gold cloaks the what for. Yeah, she's just like, I'm not taking your fucking shit. No, motherfucker.
Yep.
And yes, Samir said at 4 a.m., that's dedication, Ghetto Toad. And yes, thank you, Ghetto Toad, for staying up late checking us out. 4 a.m. Holy shit.
Thank you, Ghetto.
Dude, thank you. So
Ghetto Toad.
So quick cut to Arya standing in front of Ned's desk. It was a real funny quick cut to her at the principal's office, essentially. And Ned Stark's like, I had half my guard out searching for you. You promised me this would stop. And she gets right to it. She says, they said they were going to kill you. And he's just not believing. He's like, who said? She said, I didn't see them, but I think one was fat. She's so fucking cute.
Yep.
Oh, Arya, I wrote. And Arya said, I'm not lying. They said that you found the bastard and the wolves are fighting lions and the savage, something about the savage.
And that gets his attention immediately. When she says the wolves are fighting lions and she repeats the line, and the savages are going to cross the sea when her baby's born or something like that, when she repeats that, and it echoes true to what he knows to be, he's the wolf, they're the lions, the shit going down, and like that worries him. And just at that moment, one of my favorite characters of the books and of the series shows up.
Castle? Jory Castle?
Yorn of the Black.
Oh yeah, Yorn of the Black. Yeah, he does. He does show up here. The Night's Watch. So Stark says, where'd you hear this? In the dungeons near the dragon skulls. What were you doing in the skulls? Chasing a cat. Right there, the door knocks. So knocks on the door. It's Jory. Pokes his head. He says, pardon me, Lord. There's a Night's Watchman here. And your friend. And Yorn says, if you please, this must be your son. To Arya. And Arya, oh, girl! And Stark Ned immediately thinks, did Benjen send you? So it thinks that his brother must have sent.
And he says no. And what you need to know is that Benjen is a brother to me because he bleeds black. He is a crow to the heart. That makes him as much a brother to me as he is to you. And that being said, that kind of makes me your brother. So I rode here as fast as I can because he was at the. He was there with Tyrion. He was riding with Tyrion when Catelyn takes Tyrion.
Absolutely.
Tyrion left the wall with this guy to ride south.
He played Tyrion. He allowed Tyrion to feel comfortable around him and set him up in that situation because his brother is Ned's brother. He's a man of the North when it comes down to it. Here we go, Joe, in answer to your question. An ongoing issue and debate among New Yorkers that never gets resolved. So far, we've come up with just because it sounds better. but by the way, Joe, if you're going to do it right...
It's not wrong. I know that. I'm sorry.
And Ghetto Toad says, Arya be like, do you know who my dad is? Bitch! She totally could have done the Jesse Pinkman bitch. And Tim says, man, I wish I was cool, but it's 9 o'clock here in Washington State. Oh, but you're in awesome, beautiful Washington State out there. I love fucking Washington State. That place is really beautiful stuff out there. Washington State, Montana, that whole area, I love it. So Ed Stark says that Benjen sends you. No one sent me, my lord. I'm here to find men on the wall to see if there's any scum in the dungeon that might be fit for service.
Oh yeah, we got plenty for you.
But thank you, my lord. That's not why I disturb you now. Your brother Benjen, his blood runs black, makes him as much my brother, or makes you as much my brother as he is. And for his sake, I rode here tonight so hard I damn near killed my horse. There's other riders too, and the whole city's gonna know tomorrow. Know what? Best said in private. So Yoren goes out and
he steps to the side so that Arya and Jory can be let out of the room.
Yep, and Jory leaves, and Arya says to him, how many guards do my father have in King's Landing? Jory says 50. And but did Ned also just lose a few guards too when he gave some to the in the last episode he gave up, what was it, 25 of his own housemen to protect the city gates for the
but they're still like they're in the city looking for Arya. They're still his guards.
Okay. And
That's the way I kind of took it, like they're still the men from the north.
Right, but they're
like,
not.
Okay,
they're not right there guarding him though.
Right, but they're still going to be out looking. When I come up and find you, who's working as a night's watch, I say keep your eye out for the little wolf.
So here in King's Landing, they said 50. So Arya said you wouldn't let anyone kill him, would you? And Jory says no fear of that. So Ned and Yoren are now alone in Ned's chamber, and Ned says, "Wow, well," and Yoren says, "It's about your wife, my lord. She's taken the imp," and the music just changes.
Oh yeah, dun dun dun.
Tim says, "Thank you for the lie, but we all know it's just a wide spot in the road." well, I enjoyed it my stopover in my cross-country trip when I made a stop in that area. So Catelyn and Tyrion and their men arrive at the Vale, and they're met by a group of guards that says, you're a long way from home. To whom do I speak?" And it's some knight of the Vale, and he says, and he just has this look on his face. It's a very interesting scene because she goes, "I'm going to see my sister. My sister's going to decide," and he's saying, "Yep, that's what's happening, and you really have no choice of the matter." He's basically just, do you really know what you're getting yourself in for? He's just giving her this look, like, you shouldn't have come here. This is a bad situation.
Yeah.
And
It is.
yeah, and it is. So the guards turned their horses and they started escorting Catelyn and their men towards the Eyrie. And we get a funny line where Tyrion says the Eyrie, that they say it's impregnable. And Bronn says, "Yep, give me 10 good men and some climbing spikes. I'll impregnate the bitch."
Yeah. Ooh, and you hear Tyrion, and it like pans out, so you just see the whole group, but you hear Tyrion's voice go, "I think I like you.
I like him. I like him.
I think I'll keep this one."
Ren says he gave 20 of his personal guard to the City Watch during the tournament.
Right.
Anthony, thank you, my friend. Thank you. So Ned's walking through I wrote the bromance begins, and excellent visuals as they're walking up to the Eyrie. Like, the Erie's beautiful. And you see why they think it's impregnable, because it can only be bridged by a very small roadway that's easy to defend, or easier to defend.
Right.
So Ned's walking through the courtyard of King's Landing, heading to Robert's chambers. He's stopped by a royal steward, and Ned's on edge right now. Like, he's like, looking around, thinking everybody must know about what Catelyn did right now.
Right.
And he's just waiting for a response, waiting for the inevitable response that is waiting for him at the end of this episode. It's like the Grover, that early kids book, the Grover book. There's a monster at the end of the story. Ned's got something to do at the end of this episode, and he knows it's coming. He knows it's coming at some point. It's over any shadow. It could be a horror movie that Jamie or Cersei is going to jump out at any moment. Yep. Specifically Jamie, but I mean Ned doesn't know. Cersei, just for spite, would be pissed off about Tyrion too, but not like Jamie.
No.
She thinks she thank him?
Project it, yes, but there would be no spite. There would be no. She might actually, you know what? I'm not sure she would even outwardly. And this is a little bit jumping the gun. I think we've had a couple of little comments, but we don't quite understand yet how much she really despises her youngest brother, Tyrion. So.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
But yeah, I think that she would.
Awesome.
She might put on a face for show, but she would be very, very happy should he die. And she'll put on that face like nobody should have done that. He was a Lannister, but secretly she'll be pouring glasses of wine like woohoo.
Jamie, not so much.
Oh no, Jamie, she would be fucking furious.
Oh no, I mean
Jamie would be furious about it. Jamie loves his little brother.
Yeah, and he is furious.
Like 6 whores, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's brotherly love.
That was to hurry the process.
That's still brotherly love. Because he didn't want to be alone. He wanted his brother with him at the dinner.
Yes.
Samir says, disappointing that the book, The Veil, is more epic with the part where you had to take the donkeys and then a foot as it's so steep, which they showed how difficult on terrain it really is. So difficult, and that they needed the service of the Sherpa. Yeah,
I was especially a little bummed about in the book when they get even what they have to do to get into the Veil. Everything about it, I wish they had shown us a little bit more. I mean, they took the time to show us with the wall. They should have taken the time to show us with the Veil, because it's pretty fucking epic.
yeah, and ultimately, I guess we have to say that's
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, it's
Or the Mountains of the Moon.
supposed to be pretty amazing.
Yeah, budgetary constraints, and I think just in general, the way that they designed the Erie on the show is very different than the way that they designed it. Even continuing on to the way that the Moon Door works.
Right. It still looked pretty. When they get a glimpse of it, we get a glimpse of it here in this episode. It still looks pretty. I mean, reading the description of it in the book definitely does not match the description or the what you see in this show. But that's somebody's interpretation. Mine was completely different than that. But ultimately, it was still very beautiful, and I would love to live in that place.
I'd live there.
Snow and all, but yeah, I would live there.
Yeah, it would be high on my Westeros places to live.
Aside
Still-
from the ruler, that's a little tough.
Yeah.
Oh no! Number one, first and foremost, I'm living in Dorne. Like, if I have my pick, I'm living in Dorne. I don't want no fucking winters. I don't want no snow. I want the Dorne.
Yeah, you like the
and bath hoses and.
Yeah, you like the Dorne mentality. You like what they're doing. What they're
Overall,
doing.
it's my kind of guy.
And I like.
I'm not saying I'm saying that I would definitely like to go to a party that man threw.
Absolutely, you're gonna have a good time. You're definitely gonna have a good time. So Ned's walking through the courtyard at King's Landing, heading to Sir Robert's chambers, and the steward comes up and says, "Lord Stark, your presence has been requested at a small council chamber. A meeting's been called." And Ned says, "I need to see the king alone first." And the steward says, "The king is at the small council meeting."
Is this about my wife?
And he goes, "No." And the camera angle gets all. It gets on a kind of like a diagonal angle for a second,
Like a Batman TV series,
or more like Batman Begin when Ned just got sprayed with fear serum from the Scarecrow for a second, and the camera just kind of and no, my lord, I believe it concerns Daenerys Targaryen.
Yes, that little whore across the sea.
I think that is the next line. The whore is pregnant. You're speaking of murdering a child. And Robert says, "I warned you this would happen back in the north. I warned you, but you didn't care. Well, hear it now. I want them dead. Mother and child both." And that fool Viserys, is that plain enough for you? I want them both dead. And Ned is just giving him the fucking business.
He's beside himself, and I was beside myself. This is so petty. And yeah, we see as viewers, we see exactly... We know what that plan is to cross the Viserys has to cross the sea with the Dothraki horde, but you know what? It does seem very. I'm with Ned. I'm on Team Ned here, 100%. I'm so happy he took a stand. I'm so happy he was like, "What the fuck is the matter with you, Robert?" The Robert I knew was a warrior. He wasn't scared of the armies of the Seven Kingdoms or the Mad King. Nothing. You're cowering to a little girl in the shadow of a baby.
Yeah, you want to
assassinate a baby that's born yet.
You want to assassinate a girl because a spider heard a rumor. Not a rumor. The princess is with child. Jorah Mormont, he's serving as an advisor to the Targaryens. Mormont, you bring us whispers of a fucking traitor. Mormont's a slaver, not a traitor. It's his little finger. He broke the law, betrayed whatever.
Small difference for a man of honor like yourself, I'm sure, but.
But yes, still, words. But that's that old age that even if he did, he's just a slaver's not a good thing, but it doesn't mean he's lying. Right. And Baratheon says if he's right, if she has a son, a Targaryen at the head of a Dothraki army, what then? And Ned says the narrow sea still lies between them. I'll fear the Dothraki when they teach their horses how to run on fucking water.
Right. They don't cross the sea. They don't cross the sea. They don't have boats. They'd have to build a frickin' fleet to get them and their horses. 40,000 horses. They're gonna put 40,000 horses on boats. That'd be something. That'd be something special to see. I'm sure. Yeah. Let's
So
see that.
Robert says, do nothing. That's your wise advice. Nothing till our enemies are on our shore. You're my counsel. Counsel this man. Speak sense to this honorable fool. And Robert is at like 20 this whole scene, screaming every single line. He's so upset that this is taking him away from whoring and drinking. That he has to, or wait, he's still drinking.
Well, I love how he's so pissed off, and then he's like, "Someone talk some sense into him," and all four of them sitting there, they all have something to say. They're all on the king's side. Nobody will stand up and say this is a bad move, King.
Yeah, yeah, and he says a couple of times to him, "Careful, Ned." When Ned says, "You're no different than the Mad King if we just go around and kill people
and murder people like that," right? He takes a big offense to that line.
Yeah, careful, Ned, careful.
And it's a fair line because who did the Mad King just kill because of perceived threats? Because they were basically like, "Stop
everybody
killing people, King," and the king was like, "Fuck you," and killed them.
Yep. And careful, Ned, careful, Ned. B-Track says the whore is pregnant. Yep, absolutely. Ghetto Toad says also looks more comfortable than the sword up your ass. The throne in the area is amazing. Absolutely. Ren Renwood's with you, Joe, hanging out in Dorne. I'm still in Dorne. So, excuse me. Viserys says, I understand your misgivings, Lord Stark, I really do, but some of us, when we're in power, we have to make tough decisions, and should the gods grant Daenerys a son, the realm will bleed. Then Parzel chips in, I bear this girl no ill will, but should a Dothraki army invade, how many innocents will die? How many towns will they burn? Isn't it not wiser, even kinder, that they should die now so thousands may live? And then Renly, who no one's really listening to because they're all just like, fuck Renly, he hasn't fought any battles. We should
which we hear during the shave session, which is awesome.
But basically, that's, if you think about it, Renly was too young, so we should have killed them years ago. Why? When you were 12, you thought you should have killed them? Renly, you were a kid too.
Yeah.
But whatever. And Baelish tops off the scene. When you find yourself in bed with an ugly woman, best close your eyes, get over with, cut her throat, be done with it. What's he doing in sex? Just he's killing ugly women after he has sex with them, right, so they don't talk about it. Come on, Littlefinger. So just to Robert, so he sees his face, he's like, Ed Stark is like, I thought. It was
pretty gross. Best to slit their throats and get on with it.
Yeah, what's he doing? And Ned says, I followed you into war twice without doubts, without a second thought, but I will not follow you now. The Robert I grew up with didn't tremble at the shadow of an unborn child, as Joe said. And Robert says, she died. She dies. Joe, could you adjust me a little bit? I'm echoing a little bit. Ed Stark says, I'll have no part in it. Robert, perfect. Robert says, you're the king's hand, Lord Stark. You'll do as I command. Or I'll find a king that will do what I say. And Ned removes his badge, places it on the table, and says, well, good luck to him. I thought you were a better man. To which Robert loses it.
Get out! I'll have your head on a spike. Who the fuck? And he like hands him the hand of the king's hand pin, and just takes off out the room. And he can't walk fast enough. When you see him walk out of that room, he's hustle stepping out. You just hear the king raging in the background.
Raging for the next 20 minutes. He's just screaming, and I'm gonna say everything.
Baelish, when the next thing you see is Ned walking into his quarters. He says to Jury, "Quick, you go get the girls packed. We're getting out of here. Let's do this now. Hurry, get all the men together. We're going." And then Peter Baelish kind of walks in and is like, "The king went on about you for quite some time, but ultimately he's not gonna kill you."
B-Trex, the horror. Dutrunk says they're all yes men to the king. Yep. Littlefinger says he is always comparing everything to sex. Run, ugly bitches, run from Littlefinger. Yeah, don't go into Littlefinger's bed, no matter how nice he is. He's gonna slit your throat afterwards. So go back. Baratheon says, Robert says, out, you damn fool, I'm done with you, go. Run back to Winterfell, I'll have your head in a spike, I'll put it there myself, you fool. You think you're too good for this? Too proud and honorable? This is fucking war. He just keeps screaming, and as Joe said, we go to Ned's chambers.
He's having a bit of a Joe rant.
Yeah, he is having a bit of a Joe rant. He's going crazy. He's like, stab him in the back of the head!
Yeah.
Like, the back of the head, no! And so Ned's in his chambers, quickly packing, and he says to, yes, I'll go ahead with my daughters, get them ready, do it yourself. Jory says, right away, my lord. Lord Baelish is here for you. And Baelish is right there. And he's like, your grace went on for a while at some length after you left. The word treason was mentioned a few times. The word cocksucker, the word pussy, the word piece of shit, little bitch was mentioned a couple times too. The word Jesse, get over here was mentioned a couple times too. I don't know why. And Ed Stark says, what can I do for you? When you return to, are you going to return to Winterfell? He goes, why do you care? And he goes, if you're still here at nightfall, I'll take you to see the last person Jon Arryn spoke to before getting sick. If that sort of thing still interests you. And at first, Stark's like, no fucking way. He goes, no, I don't have the time. And then Baelish puts that one little cookie drop in there. He goes, it won't take more than an hour, but whatever you please. So Ned just gets this look in his face like, okay, fine. Fuck it. I'm going. One last thing. So Ned
Right? He just should have gone. Like, get the fuck away from these crazy fucking... Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah, you run Winterfell, but this is the entire kingdom, and these people are nuts. You're being put in a political situation that you've had nothing to do with for the last... ever. You've never been in King's Landing for a long period of time. You're dealing with houses and families you have very little to deal with on a whole. A couple of ravens a year, maybe, you know, like maybe a visit from a family once or twice a decade. But like, putting Ned in this position. Yeah, you trust him. He's your best friend, you know, that you haven't seen in 12 years or something like that. But God, like,
Ned has his out here. Get the fuck out.
Right. This is his chance to get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out.
And like, especially with what his wife, like, get the fuck out and get to your wife immediately.
Yeah.
Talk some sense into her. Let the Lannister go.
Yeah.
And get back home.
So Baelish exits Ned's chambers and he speaks to Jury briefly, and then he takes off. Stark says, round up all the men. We have to station them outside the girls' chambers. Who are your two best swords? He tells them who his best swords are, and he says, find them and meet me at the stables. So Ned heads out. So then we go to the Eyrie. Catelyn and her men and Tyrion are all standing in front of Lady Arryn.
Oh, God. Fucking Lady Batty Arryn. I love that she's breastfeeding this little kid.
Yep,
this 10-year-old, 12-year-old boy.
Yep, he's clearly too old, and
he's clearly. I'm like, how does Game of Thrones get away with having a 12-year-old suck on a woman's tit on TV?
Technically, I hate to break it to everyone, it's a prosthetic tit. I looked into it. I
mean, it's really, like, does that matter? It looks like a good enough tit. I wanted to suck on the tit. Come on.
It was a good prosthetic. It was very, very good.
I was like, damn.
So what sold this scene isn't necessarily the really one more adjustment, Joe, please. It wasn't necessarily the way a little bit more. Sorry, buddy. Wasn't her having the kid sucking on her tit. It wasn't the kid completely getting into it. It was Tyrion's face and Catelyn's face watching the whole situation, mouth wide open, like, especially Tyrion's face. It was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, and you see at this moment, like, she's talking something, and at one point, Catelyn Stark glances down at Tyrion, and the look on her face is, "I'm so sorry, I did this to you."
I know, it totally is. It totally.
Like, she realizes exactly, like you can just see what's going through her head is, "Oh, we're going to see your sister. You might as well just kill me now. This is really, we're going to the Vale. She's gonna murder me. There's no doubt." What are you doing, Catelyn? And, like, she realizes exactly. She glances down and I'm just like, fucking, I am sorry, Tyrion. This isn't how it was supposed to be.
The mayor wants to know, where do I buy one of these prosthetic tits?
Right? It was leaking milk, too.
What the entire hell am I seeing? Yeah, that's the look on Tyrion.
What the entire hell am I...
Great job, great one, Bob. It was fucking ridiculous, and this is such a freaky situation. There should be a caption over the throne. Milk, it does a body good.
Right.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that was straight cream, baby. Lady of the Vale.
So Liza goes, you bring him here without permission. You pollute my home with his presence. Yeah,
Like, it's not. Let me get this straight. It's not that this kid. It's not. Okay, it's awful that this kid is breastfeeding, right? And yes, okay, there is a big push, and I agree with a woman. If she wants to breastfeed her child sitting on the fucking bus, the bus bench, the football game at Gillette Stadium, wherever the hell she wants to feed her kid, that kid's hungry, I got no problem with it. Whip a tit out, feed that kid, but hey, don't be pissed at me if I'm staring because you got a tit out, all right? That's the way it goes. Now, it's not that she's feeding this kid. It's that she's. It's the age of the child too, but she's also doing it with the age that this child is. She's doing it in front of everybody. Like, and nobody is like, all right, it's a little inappropriate at this point for you to be. But right? Nobody's saying it. Nobody's like, this lady's fucking a bat. And like,
no one can though. No one has the power to tell her she's
somebody to suck on that titty. Like, what? Really? You don't. Come on, everybody. Let's stand arm in arm. And when she says throw someone out the moon door, go, no, bitch. You're fucking feeding a 12-year-old from your tit.
My question is, did she try to do that when, obviously the kid, she's had to breastfed him the whole time, so she was doing this while John Aaron was alive, too.
That's what I'm thinking, too. Like, John Aaron wasn't like, what are you doing? He's 12? Was the Meister like, no, keep doing that, sweetheart. It's good for the kid. He's a little slow. He needs the mother's milk.
There are parents
Ghetto Toad says
here.
That say, yeah, right. There are women that do this now, like, that do this. This isn't like, I don't know what the percentage of women that do this with their children, but there is a percent of women that do this. So,
Ghetto Toad says props to the kid for not killing himself after shooting the scene.
Seriously.
Samir, she's batshit crazy.
Are you kidding me? If you were the kid doing this scene, wouldn't you be like, awesome? I would have been psyched as a kid if I was like cast as this kid to suck on a boob.
Vaughn says we've crossed the line, or Madden to cross the line. That ain't breastfeeding. That's crossed the line. It's incest.
That's incest.
That's incest. I added a couple of.
Well, he was dripping from the mouth. You could like they made a point of showing that there was actual milk coming out of this thing.
Richie adds his perspective. An unwritten rule is if you whip out a tit, I'm gonna look.
For whatever the reason, I have no problem with it, and I understand you're doing a biological human thing. You're giving your child sustenance, and it doesn't mean I'm looking at your tit because it's a tit, but I might be looking because that's an awesome thing to see you feeding your child like that.
Beauty of life, sort of thing.
There's many reasons why I'll be looking, but rest assured, my eyes are going to go that way.
Rest assured he'll be looking, though. So keep in mind, ladies, Joe will be looking. Ghetto Toad says, but not in England.
Not necessarily for a perverse reason is what I'm saying.
No, absolutely. So perverse or not, young sweet Robin is sucking the sweet breast milk this whole time, and he's strong. John, his last words were the speed is strong. He wanted everyone to know. He wanted everyone to know what a good, strong boy you grow up to, and she's so fucking cuckoo. And Catelyn Stark says, Liza, you wrote me a letter about the Lannisters warning me to stay away from them, not to bring one here. And she says, not to bring one here. And then Robin finally speaks. He says, Mummy, is that the bad man?
Yes, that's the bad man. Can we make him fly?
He's little. He's Tyrion, the imp of House Lannister. He killed your father, murdered your hit. Tyrion is hilarious here. He's like, okay, I'm dead anyway, so I might as well talk shit.
Yeah, this is where Catelyn Stark glances down and is like, oh.
I'm sorry. And he says, did I kill him too? I've been a very busy man.
Silence! You don't be insolent to me.
Every one of these men loved my husband John Aaron. Each one of them would die for me. And then Tyrion makes sure he mentions Jamie as much as possible. If any harm comes to me, Jamie will see that they do die.
Yeah.
And his ace in the hole. And Robin says, "You can't hurt us. No one can hurt us. Tell him,
Mummy.
tell him, Mummy.
We are impregnable, Mummy.
Suck this nipple, little boy. Suck this nipple. Take it."
Yeah, shut up, boy.
Shut up, boy. He's just trying to frighten us. Lannisters are all liars. No one will hurt my baby. Mummy, I want to see the bad man fly. Perhaps you will, love. And Catelyn says, this is where she stands up for Tyrion. She says, "This man is my prisoner. I won't have him harmed." And Liza ends up suggesting that she take a nap and that they'll take him out below and keep him safe. We'll introduce him to Mord.
Oh, God, I love these. Oh, okay. Do we go right to that next, or is there another scene in between?
We go right to Mord. You go to sleep, dwarf man. Sleep good, little dwarf man.
So you kind of see the floor at first when the door opens. You see from the inside of this cell. Now, if you look close enough, you'll see that where the floor meets the wall, this floor is on an angle. It has a slope to it. It's not a big slope, but it's a slope. So this is for a reason. As the shot pans out after the dwarf gets thrown in, you realize that this cell has only 3 walls to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the third wall is basically the air and nothing but fall. And
nothing
it's
but death.
way up high in the castle, in the highest mountain of the Vale. Like, this shit is a long way down. So when you sleep at night, you can see the water even trickling out of the cell. There's some sort of water running. So when you sleep at night, when you roll over and stuff, you're going to slowly roll.
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention, you roll downhill out of this. It's to make it easier for you to finally say and just give up and go.
Tyrion is Tyrion.
You know, they don't want to hold prisoners, so eventually we won't kill you, and we'll just imprison you, but we're going to imprison you in this awful cold, wind-drawn rain, open to the elements, and you're going to kill yourself. You're going to walk right off the edge. You're going to do it to yourself.
For the only time ever Tyrion's excited to be a dwarf because he has slightly more room than the average prisoner. That would be
It's still fucking cold in there. It's got to be cold in that cell.
Yeah.
Ren would like to add that in the books it talks about that she smelled like sour milk. Oh, that's gross. Ghetto Toad says, everyone else is keeping the discussion in the chat room about how to properly look at a woman breastfeeding in public. Going on in the chat room. Whose job is it to clean those rocks? Ghetto Toad asks. That's a good question. So back at King's Landing, inside, is that the last we see of Tyrion for the episode? Do we go back to them, or is that the end of the Eyrie stuff for tonight?
I think that was the end of the Eyrie stuff. Yep.
End of the Eyrie stuff for tonight. So back at King's Landing, we go inside Renly Baratheon. I mean, inside his chambers. And, I'm sorry, I messed up here. And we get another sexaposition scene in Game of Thrones, and we get a shirtless Loras kneeling beside him, shaving Renly's chest.
Oh, what a player!
This is also something that was never specifically happened in the books, but it was hinted at. But you never actually got a moment like that with the two of them together. It just was strongly suggested that both of them, and I can't even remember, I'm blanking on if it was strongly suggested that they have a relationship or that both of them just enjoy the company of men. I know that was common knowledge. I'm not sure if they even had a relationship in the books, but
Loras and Renly?
Yeah, Loras and Renly.
Yeah, no, they were fucking in the books.
They were fucking in the books too.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't stand in my memory as much as this does in the show, and as their relationship in the show does, obviously, because seeing you get to actually see it here. So. Yeah,
no, they were. Yep, nope, they were together.
Samir says, how long does a woman keep lactating? Is it 12 years normal? If she keeps milking, I think she'll lactate forever. I believe that's how it works, right?
I think that's exactly how it works, yep.
Vaughn says, a cell with a built-in AC. What's wrong with that, Joe? That's actually a great situation. So they're sitting in each row in the
only it's the wrong. You want the heat. Yeah. If we were in Dorne, that might be a good thing. I wouldn't mind their cell being open to the elements like that in Dorne.
It probably gets a little chilly.
Yeah.
And the Vale?
One of they got towers in Dorne. They got these big spires. It's a different kind of architecture down there. It's weird. They're, Dornish. So they could have this tower. They in further books, someone gets imprisoned and they get put in a tower. That's how they do it. And put me in a tower with three walls. That's fine. Nice and sunny. Just send up some wine. Let me bask in the sun, but not up in the Vale. The mountains and the snow. Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that.
Would turn into an oven.
Yeah.
So as we're sitting here with shirtless Loras kneeling beside Renly, we have sexy time exposition. Loras says Lord Stark's lucky he still has a head. And Renly says Robert will rant on for a few days. This scene serves a lot better than the Theon and Roz scene for giving us important information. I kind of like the information that comes out in the scene between the two of them. I like their talk. I like everything that they say and do in this scene. I like everything they say.
Yeah. I mean, it's an intimate little scene. I like how Loras is conniving. He's trying to play a card here too.
Yeah.
It does develop their characters. I like both of them. I had no problem with either of these characters. The actors played them well too.
I really dug this scene and what they talked about here. Yeah. So Loras says you're jealous, or that Robert Renly says Robert will rant on for days, but he won't do anything. He adores Ned, and Loras says you're jealous, and he's shaving him, and Renly being all conscious. Sure, this won't hurt, and he goes only if I slip and I cut you. And they talk about preferring him hairless, whatever. And
this won't hurt. Like, does that mean you don't even shave your face yet, Renly? Really? And you're like, they don't think of me as a man.
Yeah, I'm like, shit. And I love how Loras calls him out here too. He goes, "Come on, it's blood. Look at the fucking blood."
Yeah, he's like, it's easy for you to say with your talents, and this is what you said earlier. He's like, they're not talents, dude. I fucking worked hard to do what I'm able to do. I worked at it every single day. Nothing was handed to me.
Yeah, and Renly says, my brother thinks anyone who hasn't been to war isn't a man. He treats me like I'm a spoiled child. Well, you kind of are. You were in the rebellion and then immediately got cast into a position of power.
Right.
And Loras gives him a look, and he goes, "Oh, you're not? The Night of the Flowers? How many wars have you fought in? And how much did your father spend on the fucking beautiful armor of yours?" Right. And he says, and then Renly goes on, all I ever heard from Robert and Stannis is how I'm not tough enough, how I squirm at the sight of blood. And Loras calls him out. He goes, you did vomit when that boy's eye was knocked out. Great. And Renly's like, well, his eye was dangling out of the damn socket.
Yeah, so he's in the melee in a tournament, and the first guy that gets injured, his eye's hanging out of his skull, but he pukes. Can't finish the tournament. Like, what?
Dragon says, I love this scene except for the weird noises at the end. And I'll add that it's like kind of like in in the South Park movie when it goes dark with Satan and Saddam Hussein, we get that like the same sound effect at the end of this scene. It's pretty funny. And Loras and Tyrell says, you did want to. Oh, Kitty, I'm gonna put the camera on Joe while I talk because.
Oh, he's a cutie boy.
So Loras says that you did vomit when that boy's eye was knocked out. Renly says his eye was dangling out of the socket. Loras says he shouldn't have entered the melee if he didn't know how to fight. Renly says, easy for you to say, not everyone is as gifted as a swordsman as you. It's not a gift. No one gave it to me. I'm good because I work at it. And Renly says, I could work at fighting all day, every day, and never be as good as you. Well, you don't try, so you won't be good at. You won't be that good, man. That's things losers say for 100, Alex. It's just, come on, dude. Give me a break. So Loras says, yeah, well, I guess. And then they finish with his chest, and Loras raises his arm so he can shave the armpits. And he says, everywhere, everywhere. And then we get more backstory of the Targaryen girl. She'll die. Renly says it needs to be done, and pleasant as it is, Robert's rather tasteless about it. Every time he talks about killing her, I swear the table rises 6 inches. It's a shame he can't muster the same enthusiasm for his wife, Loras. Filstress here for that. Oh, Loras. Renly says he does have a deep, abiding lust for her money. One of my favorite lines. The Lannisters may be the most pompous, ponderous cunts the gods ever suffered to walk the world, but they do have an outrageous amount of money. Loras points out that the Tyrells are also rich. The Tyrells are the second richest family in Westeros, next to the Lannisters. And Renly makes sure he tells her back that, well, you're not as rich as the Lannisters. But I have a lot more money than you. And then Renly gets into the whole Robert's threatening
Yeah,
to...
I like that too. He makes a point to point it out because Highgarden is where all the food comes from. It's all plains. It's all it's big open area. Most of the food that supplies the kingdom is grown here. The Renly's area is the Stormlands. It's foresty. It's on the coast. It doesn't have great farmland. Basically, it produces a little wood and some fish and shit, but it's not like a rich place. It's it's pretty trashed. So.
Dragon makes a good point, and I agree. In the books, Renly is more of a badass. He's more of a young Robert in a lot of ways. They make him out to be, looks like young Robert. He can't fight quite as good, but he's supposed to still be able to kick some ass. Tim says, hold on, how crazy knife to the head is a nice cat guy. Crazy knife to the head, Joe. Joe has 3 cats. I also have 3 cats and a dog. We're both crazy animal people. And
my bunny just left us a little while ago.
Yeah, and Joe also had a very, very cute bunny that my puppy got along with. My puppy came in, put his head right in her head right in the cage, and
my cats used to lay down in the cage with them all the time.
And Dragon says even crazy knife guys love their kitty cats.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
like I said before, my kitties aren't food, but someone else's might be.
Kitties have little knives for the backs of.
Yes, they help me with knifing in the back of the head. They got lots of them.
Yeah.
They slash the face as he knifes the back of the head.
Exactly, they can come in handy in the right situation.
Especially a little bit well. Oh my god.
Or Sir Pounce. So Renly says.
Or Sir Pounce. Oh.
But spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Ding,
no,
ding.
we don't have to talk about poor Sir Pounce.
Listen, this is important information. Spoiler alert, everybody. Block your ears if you don't want some information about Season 5 for 30 seconds. Here it is. Sir Pounce will not be in Season 5 of Game of Thrones.
Oh.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Had his 15 minutes.
Yep, spoilers over. Anyways, Laura says, how did that ever happen? Or how did Robert ever become the king? And he says because he loved his killing and he used to be good at it. Yep. And then Loras gets in, do you know who should be king? And they go to him and he goes, I'm 4th in line. And if Robert was in Joffrey's a monster. Tommen is 8. Stannis has the personality of a lobster, but he's my older brother. And Renly points out very clear and seems to be very confident in the fact that he wouldn't undercut his older brother, and is very confident about. Well, he's my older brother.
Yeah.
And then Loras cuts him under his arm, and he goes, "What are you doing? Look at it. Look at the fucking cut. It's just blood. We all got it sometimes. Sometimes it spills. You're gonna need to spill blood if you're gonna become king."
Right. So, okay, did Loras just say I have to kill my brothers? So you just told me, Loras, you want me to kill both my older brothers,
my nephews,
and both my nephews.
Yep.
Like, really, Renly? Is that what you're talking about here?
Or
Me
Loras.
being king? Because that's what it takes. I'm 4th in line there, and there is currently a king. So we should get rid of Robert, get rid of Stannis, get rid of... Oh, before Stannis. Stannis hasn't even come in yet. We got to get rid of Robert, Joffrey, then Tommen, then Stannis. And hopefully by the time you're done with that, Stannis hasn't had a male son to kill yet as well.
You better kill Cersei while you're at it, because she's not going to be happy.
Right. Who knows how many more Baratheon children she might spew out.
Who knows? Yeah, Baratheon children. So Loras says it's just blood. We all got it. You need to be king. You're gonna need to do what needs to be done, but don't gloat over it. You don't love killing. Where is it written that power is the sole providence of the worst? That thrones are made for the hated and the feared. You would be a wonderful king. And then they go into some non-family friendly fun, and the music kicks in, and they have sweet, slurpy.
Loras goes right down on Renly. Now I made you bleed. Now I'm gonna make you come.
Renly.
On his part.
Yep. It goes to that push-pull thing. Like nice. I like your shoes. My grandmother has a pair of those.
And Renly almost turns to the camera and gets it's a good to be the king look. He focus on his face for a second, and he just.
Oh yeah, it's good. You almost see his O face. He's almost that quick.
I am.
Loras is good at what he does.
It's not just a gift, Joe. He practices that every day.
He works. It's not a talent.
Yeah, it's not
He
a talent.
works hard every day for hours to be able to do what he does.
Hours.
The sword fight, the way he sword fights.
So
Oh shit.
So we go over to one of my favorite scenes, and something that Joe and I might disagree here as we're coming here, but as we're coming here, I shouldn't have said it like that. Sorry. So it's the Cersei and Robert scene. I fucking love this scene, and to me, this Cersei in this scene is the most honest she's ever been at any point in time, from beginning to end of the series, and a couple of her answers and her interactions with Robert. But I find this scene completely hilarious, the two of them interacting. Cersei says she doesn't even try to play her bullshit games. I'm sorry your marriage to Ned Stark didn't work out. You two seem so good together. Robert's like, I'm glad I could do something to make you happy. Basically not even having the strength to fight her at this point. Cersei said, without a hand, everything will fall to pieces. He said, I suppose this is where you tell me to give your job to Jamie. She says, no, he's not serious enough. I'll say this for Ned Stark, he's serious enough. But was it really worth it losing him this way? Kind of digging in, and I'm like, you lost your friend. And he says, serious, believe it now, whatever. I said in my notes here, the real Robert came out for a half a second in this moment, like the old Robert. He goes, but I do. He goes, I don't know about any of this, but I do know if a Targaryen girl convinces their horse lord husband to invade and the Dothraki horde cross the narrow sea, we won't be able to stop them. Just what he says, it seemed like for a moment, and a couple moments in this scene, Robert, the military or the warrior, came out a couple times, and you heard that person talking, and you hadn't really heard that person in the first 4 episodes yet, but you felt where he was like, oh my god, I'm slow, we're going to lose. If I can't kill everyone myself, we're going to lose, is what he's thinking, probably. A big part of what he's thinking. And it's funny how his response to what she says, because she says the Dothraki don't sail. Every child knows that. They don't have disciplines. They don't have armor. They don't have siege weapons. Robert says it's a neat little trick you do. You move your lips and your father's voice comes out. 2 things I want to say about that. One, she says exactly what Ned Stark says, too. So he's calling Ned...
Right, exactly. He's just saying that to dig at her, right back. Because
really, but that was my second point, Joe, that is ultimately... You just said the biggest compliment you could ever give to Cersei Lannister. He basically just complimented her. You open your mouth and your father's voice comes out. That's like telling her, that's feeding into her ego and saying that, oh my god, you're as smart as your father. Yeah. From her perspective, she takes that as a compliment. That's like, right. That's like, oh, that dress is really ugly. Oh yeah, you mean I can? It's
also a dig, because I think she knows she does. I think he knows that she doesn't really like her father. Father pushed her into this loveless marriage.
Dragon
to just talk about right now.
Dragon says to quote the Mel Brooks, it's good to be fourth in line.
Yeah.
Cersei has a real gut laugh, though. Yeah, she's enjoying herself in this moment. And Dragon says, yeah, we're going to get to that line, which is better than 5 the 1 thing. So Robert says, let's say Viserys Targaryen lands with 40,000 just Dothraki screamers at his back. We hole up in our castle. A wise move. Only a fool would meet the Dothraki in open field. They leave us in their castles. They go from town to town, looting and burning, killing every man who can't hide behind a stone wall, stealing all our crops and our livestock, enslaving all our women and children. And this is where she sits down. She likes the part about enslaving women and children. That makes her sit down and take a drink. And she gets a drink. And how long will the people of the Seven Kingdoms stand behind their absentee king, their cowardly king hiding behind the big walls, when the people decide that Viserys Targaryen is the rightful monarch after all? Interesting point. Real Robert comes out. Cersei, we'll still outnumber them. And here we go. What is the bigger number, 5 or 1? And she says 5. He says 1. 1 real army. Bam.
Yep. And now, when we had the scene earlier with Joffrey and Mummy and his mummy Cersei, and he's saying to her, you know, I would unite the kingdom, and she's like, oh, you'll marry Sansa and then you can fuck whores later. He talks for a brief moment there about he should unite, he should take basically all the troops from the kingdoms and make one army his army, and it's this intelligent thing that he's talking about, creating like a national army instead of all these different small armies run by the lords all over the Westeros. He's like, nope, we're going to make one army. And now you see exactly where that came from, and he's been paying attention to his dad. He looks up to his dad. His dad is known as a warrior, the usurper king. He overthrew the Mad King Targaryen and seized the throne for himself. So Joffrey does pay attention to what the shit his dad's laying down sometimes.
Absolutely. Megan Fox, Amazing Hot 93, great name. Says Mega Foxy, Amazing Hot, awesome. Mega Foxy, Awesome Hot 93.
There you go. Amazing Hot Awesome 93.
Amazing Hot Spectacular. I think that even she doesn't love her father. She respects him. And Tim says, well, how can you not? You can't not respect Tywin, or at least fear him in a respectful way. So Robert says 5 fingers, 1 fist, 1 army, a real army united behind one leader, one purpose. Our purpose died with the Mad King. Now we get as many armies as there's men with gold in their purse. It's almost what Ned was saying to Jory in the last episode. Oh, the knights run around. Everyone's a knight, and they all run around here like peacocks.
Yep.
And none of them have seen a real battle.
Which is what we saw with John Aaron's
Sir Hugh
with his brand new armor. And when we see him, he's never been in a tournament before, but what he's doing the things, counting off the steps, doing the things that he saw John Aaron doing, pretending to be a knight, and he gets killed.
Richie,
they don't know what they're doing. You're a knight. You're a knight. You're a knight now. All of a sudden, because John Aaron's gone. All right, Mountain's gonna kill you.
Richie, good point. Cersei should have been like, I thought paper covers wrong. Very good one, Richie. So your father, he says everyone wants to do something different. Your father wants to own the world. Ned Stark wants to run away and bury his head in the snow. And Cersei goes, "What do you want?" And he just looks at the wine and he takes a big gulp. And then he smiles. He says, "We haven't had a real fight in 9 years. Backstabbing doesn't prepare you to a fight." She just gives him duck face at that, almost agreeing but not giving him the satisfaction of it. But you can see she almost agrees that what he's saying, and that's all the realm is now: backstabbing and scheming and ass licking and money grabbing. Sometimes I don't know what holds us together. And Cersei gives the best line of the episode, funniest line of the episode: "Our marriage." And they both just looked at me.
Yep. And how long can hate hold a marriage together?
Well, 17 years is a long time. And, 17 years is quite a long time, and this is her way of, I don't know, getting him to answer a few questions. He said, yes, it is, yes, it is. And then she bridges the question. She says, what was she like? And Robert gets really deathly serious.
Why now? Why after all these years you've never asked about her before?
At first, just saying her name, even in private, felt like I was breathing life back into her. Then I thought if I didn't talk about her, she'd just fade away. When I realized that wasn't going to happen,
Poor sad girl thought right there. Loves don't fade away. You dream about that shit forever. Obsessed, like oh.
And he asks, so why now? And she says, what harm could Lyanna Stark's ghost do to either of us that we haven't done to each other 100 times over? And he gets really serious and frowns, and he goes, the horrible truth is I can't remember what she looked like. The only thing I ever wanted, and someone took her away from me, and 7 kingdoms couldn't fill the hole that she left behind.
Including you, Cersei.
Yeah, definitely not you, Cersei. Oh, and by the way, did I mention... Not you, Cersei. You never fucking do it.
She asks specifically.
Yeah.
By the end, and he's like, "No, didn't you hear me? 7 kingdoms, bitch."
This is my question for you, Joe. Do you believe her when she says?
No, absolutely not. She is so fucking hurt and crushed. If she meant what she said and she was like, "No, I felt nothing," then she wouldn't have taken the gulp and got up and left the room. She was crushed by that.
What I'm saying, my question is, she said, I felt something for you once. And he said, I know, even after we lost our first boy, for quite a while, actually. Was it possible for us ever? Was there ever a time, ever a moment? Do you believe that she believes that there was ever a moment for her?
No. I think briefly.
You say no. Katie, what do you think?
I think she had that girlish dream.
Yeah. She was marrying the king. She was Sansa, essentially. I'm marrying, and look what Sansa's about to marry.
Exactly.
She's married. She's getting betrothed to fucking Joffrey. It's almost the same thing. That it's a mirror from Cersei, who you can imagine Cersei as Sansa, as a young girl who All she'd ever want is to marry the king of the Seven Realms. Yeah, she comes from a rich Lannister family, but this is better. This would put her above her father as the queen of, all of Westeros, above her brother, above everybody. Her rightful place. So I think at one point there was, and I'm going to say this is no, it's never said in the book, but they talk about our first child, and they're not talking about Joffrey. And I don't know if we really hear about what happens to that child. I don't remember anything else about it in the book. So
I vaguely remember the.
I know what you're about to say, Joe.
I think the bitch killed him when she realized there wasn't ever a chance, and that he was never getting over Lysa, and that she was going to, not carry this fucking
Very
bastard
possible.
maker's
Yeah.
child.
Lyanna, not Liza, but yeah, I know.
Lyanna, thank
Yeah.
you.
Tim says, yes, Phil, words are hard. Yes, I have trouble with them. Ren says, yes, this was such a romantic scene between Robert and Cersei. Dragon says, you can see that Cersei was hurt that Robert didn't love her because it was kind of what you guys were saying, that she had that Sansa of being a queen and having the king love her.
Yeah, I mean,
But
and that means she entered this marriage and it was always completely loveless. There was never any point to anything she ever did.
No, if anybody,
it does hurt her.
If she had a chance with anybody, it was when the Targaryen, Aegon Targaryen was his name, I believe, that the Daenerys' and Viserys' older brother that was originally going to be, or it was rumored was going to marry Cersei, and then the Mad King, just to fuck with Tywin, said that Cersei wasn't good enough. I think that was who she thought she was going to marry, and she thought she wanted to be the head of a Targaryen family and making other blonde, light-haired Targaryen Lannister children for all of eternity. And she's probably
and that was one of the reasons why Jamie had taken the oath to be a
Kingsguard.
A Kingsguard, because he was going to be able to stay close with Cersei, and then once the Mad King had Tywin's son, he changed all the plans.
He's like, fuck you, Tywin. Haha, gotcha.
Yep.
Ren said,
you won't be my hand anymore because I want to throw out a bunch of wild speculation that I'm not going to throw out. So.
We'll keep going here. Ren said, didn't she say how handsome Robert was back then? And
everybody has talked about it. Robert was a ladies' man. He was the most handsome man in the Seven Kingdoms, pretty much.
Thank you, chat room, for the names. Appreciate that. So Cersei is Cersei. Yeah, she's coldly. He says, she asked, was it ever possible? Was there ever time? And he says coldly, he says no. And then she drinks. Does that make you feel better or worse? He asks, and she said, it doesn't make me feel anything.
I gotta save face.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. If she truly didn't feel anything, I believe she would have continued to have conversation with him, because they were having. I mean, they were talking about some deep shit, but they were having it. They were pleasantly doing it. They were both being openly honest, brutally openly honest with each other, and it hurt her, and she left the room. There was more. There was definitely, I think, more to be said about things that they could have talked about, but. She can't see past that. He doesn't. She could never manipulate him like she can manipulate anybody else. With partially that magic box.
Yeah, partially because of what she says when she gets into, when I do my manipulation thing and I'm upset, you seem to like it.
Right.
You seem to get off on the fact of me being upset all the time, or me doing any of the things I try to do to manipulate people. You feed off of it. In fact, great scene between the two of them. So here we go into.
Well, I think that feeds into he sees it like he's stuck in this endless rut of wine and women, right? And he, I think, looks at when she does her thing, her manipulations, and she's doing what she's doing, and yeah, it pisses him off and everything. But I think he does feed into it. He does love it, and he does feed it to her because it's her way of doing battle. What he can't do anymore, what he doesn't do anymore.
Dragon says they actually look married in this moment.
Right, and they are. So they're, they've been sleeping in different bedrooms since the start, because how's he gonna fuck whores with him with her in the bed next to him?
Well, if you're Robert, you're fucking whores in every room. You're even fucking them in Cersei's bed. You're like going into Cersei's bedroom and using her bed and shit. You're
It practically was at the banquet.
He's fucking him in Jamie's bedroom. Because that's more insulting to because he gets more joy out of that than doing it in front of Cersei. He wants to do it in front of Jamie.
So inside one of Baelish's brothels as we go on, Ned is speaking to one of the prostitutes. Jory and Baelish are in the next room. She said, she's going on, she looks like him. Doesn't she, my lord? She has his nose, his black hair. We meet another one.
She looks like half the people in fucking Westeros. She's a baby, for Christ's sakes.
So basically, we find another one of Robert's bastards.
And it's a recently born bastard. It's a baby.
Yep.
You know, she's like, I don't want nothing from him. I don't want money or gold or anything. I just want him. He always treated me so nice, unlike any of the other Johns I'm with. But he hasn't come back since he dropped seed in me.
He won't leave his queen and castle and have a farm with me.
Right. You know, like what the fuck are you talking about, lady?
She believes fairy tales.
So Ned breaks off from them because he can't handle that friggin' crazy situation. And he goes in the other room and
Baelish is like lounging on like a couch or like a bunch of pillows with two half-naked prostitutes. Jory, I think it's Jory. It might be just some other guard.
No, it's Jory.
Jaw on the floor, like looking at these titties, and of course, the prostitute sees him looking at the titties, and she's all like,
she's eye fucking.
Titty. You like a titty?
Yeah, she starts licking the titties, or she starts.
Too much cake.
And he says they start talking back and forth, talking about how many men. And Ned asks, what do you know about Robert's bastards? And Peter says, well, he's got more than you for their start. Well, how many? And Peter says, it doesn't matter. If you fuck enough women, some of them will give you presents. Fucking little finger. And Ned says, John Aaron tracked them all down. Why? And
yeah. Doesn't Baelish make a crack at about Ned's bastard too? Oh, he has more than you.
Yeah, I said that. And he said he was the candidate king. Perhaps Robert wanted to look after them. He was overcome with fatherly love.
Right.
And Ned's like, come on. So Jory, let's get the hell out of here. But Jory's like stuck in the mud, staring at one of the whores who's been eye fucking him the whole scene, flashing him her breasts, touching herself.
Jaws on the ground.
Jaws on the ground. Yeah, exactly.
You know, and with that little barb and with this little conversation that's taking place right now, you get to wonder whether or not he's delaying Ned for some reason.
Maybe. Who knows?
Especially when you see the next scene.
That's fair to wonder about that. So Ned and Jory are leaving the brothel as they're saying goodbye. Let's go in the chat room quickly. Dragon says, poor sweet little whore. Ren says, this could be said about Robert from Conan, King Osric. There comes a time, a thief, when the jewels cease to sparkle, when the room becomes a prison. Very, very interesting. Very poetic, too.
Good call, Ren.
And
quoted Conan. That's awesome.
It made it sound really poetic.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, here we go. Ned and Jory leave the brothel. Dragon, you see Dragon's question, right?
The
last question. That's the question at the very beginning of the show. Ultimately what we need to answer here at the end here, and I think we might have two different opinions. But
what was the question?
Look at the chat room. Read the chat room. So,
when?
Oh, in the scene?
Yeah, here we go. So Ned and Jory leave the brothel with a few of Ned's men as they're think about it as we go here. Are suddenly surrounded by Jamie Lannister and his men. And all of his men, they come out of nowhere. And Ned immediately knows where this is going. You just see the look on Ned Stark's face. He just immediately knows what the fuck's about to happen.
You took my brother, I'm taking you, bitch.
Such a small pack of wolves. And Jory, this is why it's important that Jory got to see boobs before he died. Good Jory. You got to see the boobs. We got the foreshadowing in the last episode with him and Jamie talking and having some sort of bonding experience. Jamie's going to kill you in like 3 fucking seconds.
Hey, let's remember that Jory and him had a little interaction. Jory brings the king a message from the hand.
Right, that's what I was saying in the last episode.
And it's like, oh yeah, hey, remember we fought together and Thoros' burning sword, I'll never forget it. We were fighting together.
Yep.
And it without hesitation, sociopath, fucking Jamie.
Or just a competent, just if he's gonna fight, he's gonna win. I think that's how.
That is it too, but there's no fucking. He doesn't kit. I mean, obviously the guy he threw a fucking kid out a window, right?
Okay. Right, he doesn't give a shit. So Jamie says, "Such a small pack of wolves." Jory says, "Stay back, sir. This is the hand of the king." Jamie says, "Was the hand of the king."
Right, not anymore.
Sure. He's the lord of somewhere very far away. Peter Baelish protests, "What's the meaning of this, Lannister? Get back inside where you're safe. I'm looking for my brother. You remember my brother, don't you, Lord Stark? Blonde hair, sharp tongue, short man." And,
right. And Peter Baelish is like, "I'm going to get the gold cloaks."
Yeah,
the City Watch, and runs back inside, and we never see City
To
Watch.
the telephone?
telephone, yeah, to the telephone.
Oh,
He sends a raven. Did he send a raven to the City Watch? So Ned Stark says, "I remember him well." Jamie says, "It seems he had some trouble on the road. You wouldn't know what happened to him, would you?" Ned says, "He was taken at my command." He covers
Good husband.
Good husband.
Very good husband.
So right when he says that, Jamie immediately draws his sword, causing all the men on both sides to draw their swords, except for Ned Stark. He doesn't draw his sword yet. Baelish, this one.
Because Ned Stark is calm, cool, and yeah, oh yeah, he does.
Yeah, here we go here. So
Yeah.
Jamie says, "Come, Stark. I'd rather you have a sword in your hand before you die." Jory says, "If you threaten my lord again," Jamie cuts him off. He says, "Threaten? As in, I'm going to cut open your lord from balls to brains to see what Starks are made out of." So Ned Stark, knowing he has a ace card in his pocket, says, "You kill me, your brother's a dead man." And I just want to make this clear before we get into this fight, that Jamie's response is, "You're right, we have to take him alive. Kill his men."
Kill his men, right.
So a fight erupts, and Jamie's men throw some spears, kill a bunch of Ned Stark's men. Ned eventually, at this point, draws his sword and kind of moves towards Jamie, fending off several guards in the process, pretty easily, killing
Jory too. Jory's kicking some guard ass.
Jory's kicking some guard ass. Jory gets to Jamie first, and Jamie, I swear, in about 5 seconds kills him.
He comes in with his sword. Jory comes in with his sword, and as he blocks with his sword and comes across and blocks, he draws a dagger, and the dagger goes right into Jory's eye in one move. So it's not even a fight. It's a parry and stab in the fucking head, and he hits him with such force it goes through his eye and out the back of his skull.
Yeah.
And then Dragon says Jory should have held back just a couple of seconds and let him and Ned go at him together, similar to the way that they fought against Hightower, I believe it is, where they were the only 2 men left after fighting, where they're out of like 7 men fighting Sir Arthur Dane and Hightower. I mean, I could be messing up those names. Ren will probably be correcting me very soon. Where Jory and Ned were 2 of the only survivors in a fight. So he probably should have waited for Ned to work together to take down Jamie, because Jamie is a fucking animal when it really comes down to it. So Jamie stabs Jory with a dagger right through the eye. The fighting ceases, and Ned moves towards Jamie as we're about to have the fucking epic showdown. It's fair to say that this went a lot different in the books. We just want to mention this quickly. Ned Stark, I believe, fell off his horse in the scene in the books or something, and breaks his leg falling off his horse or something.
Yeah, it's different. It is different. I like the way it's done here too.
I like how it's done here better.
And this goes to my point too from last night. I don't necessarily, and to Katie's point that she was making last night to me about. I was saying you run up and you got to help out. You got to jump in. That's your brother, your family, and all this. And this is one of his. This is a Lannister man. He's not a gold cloak. He's not a white cloak. The soldiers he's with are all red, crimson wearing Lannister outfits. And so that guy ends up as they're going at it, and it's a good fight. It seems pretty evenly matched throughout as they're fighting.
I want to get into it. I want to talk about the fight. The fight starts, and the two fend off each other. The fight's intense as hell. Ned's going for kill shots, but Jamie's style is to be more technical and stall because Jamie needs him. I just want to point out that Jamie needs to keep him alive. Jamie can't kill him. So he's trying to have honorably take him down, probably cut him out off the legs, and and Ned is going for kill shots. Personally, if it really comes down to it, I know you might have a difference, but I'm gonna go on the limb. If the fight continues, doesn't interrupt, and Jamie is free to kill Ned, Jamie kills Ned.
No.
I think Ned wins.
I think Ned wins. I don't think that Jamie will. No, Ned wins. Ned wins this fight.
I'll be right back. I'm walking to the other room while you make your point because I don't agree with it. No,
no. This is it. I don't necessarily agree. I know that Jamie says that we need to take Ned alive, but when it comes down to it, he's fighting Ned Stark outside of this brothel, and the last thing that Ned Stark said to Jamie about fighting was, I don't fight a man in tournaments because when I fight a man, I fight him for real, and I don't want him to know how I fight. So Jamie knows that if Ned pulls his sword, he's not being taken unless it's pretty much the way he was taken. Jamie's going to either die or have to kill Ned. The only way Jamie lives through this fight is what happens, or Jamie is able to get off a shot because I don't think he would. I don't think he's better than Ned as a fighter. I really don't.
We're at a fun. We'll have to agree to disagree here. I think Jamie is technically a better fighter in the long run. Will tire Ned out. Ned could get a swing. Ned's not that much worse than Ned. I mean, he can compete with him there, but I think Jamie's majorly holding back because he needs to keep.
I think that when Sir Barristan Selmy says to Ned earlier, "I'm so happy I never met you on the battlefield," it's because he knows that Ned probably would have beaten Barristan Selmy, and Barristan Selmy can absolutely whoop.
I think you're confusing Ned with Boromir.
No, I think Ned could have taken Jamie. I really do. I think that with whatever youth or whatever, I think that Ned knows more about fighting and than Jamie. He's been in more wars.
Tactics, not one-on-one combat. In a one-on-one sword duel, Ned Stark is going to lose to Jamie Lannister.
No. Yes. Ned has fought more one-on-one sword duels. He's been in battles and battles.
He's going to win. Jamie is going to kill him every time, dude.
No, I disagree.
Let's see what the chat room says. Other people thought Dragon, an uninterrupted Jamie beats Ned. That's what we have one. Rachel says, I think the only way Jamie could have killed Ned is if he caught him off guard. That's one for you, Joe. Honestly, but in a fight, anything can happen. So I honestly think if the fight hadn't stopped, Ned seemed to be getting the better in the way the fight was filmed visually. I tend to think that Jamie was holding back because he needed to keep him alive.
I think Ned had the upper. I think Ned had just turned the tide from a fair fight and was about to have the upper hand when that happened, and that guard knew it, and I think Jamie knew it, and that's why Jamie knocked him out because the point was to take them.
I'm curious, Katie, what do you think? Who do you think would have won?
Well, I think Ned would win. Absolutely.
Ned would win. Okay.
Absolutely. He's
similar reason to why Joe. He's just more seasoned as a fighter that you would think. But Jamie cut some dude's head off when he was like 17 years old in the middle of a battlefield when he wasn't even a knight. Jamie's a fucking
And you know what? Ned did?
Jamie is I'd want to hear Barristan's answer to this question, and I think Barristan would.
Ned is probably, and Ned is the biggest badass in Westeros, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, you're over. You're giving Ned way too much credit.
No. I really think he is. If you really start reading about all the stuff about the wars, you know that it was Ned who won those wars.
You think Ned could have beat Robert in one-on-one combat? We're talking about one-on-one combat here.
No, I don't. I do not think that Ned in their prime, I do not think Ned would have beaten Robert in one-on-one combat.
Now he could.
Now he absolutely could.
But not in a pie-eating contest, maybe.
But no, not in a pie-eating contest. But in their prime, no. Robert was the ultimate badass in the kingdom. Rhaegar was a badass, but ultimately he kills Rhaegar too. Robert was the ultimate man back in the day.
Let's read some comments here. First of all, it's Holland Reed and stood with Ned Stark against Sir Arthur Dane, so I was messing that up in the Tower.
Yeah, I was going to say, but it wasn't.
Dragon says, underrupted Ned, Jamie beats Ned. Rachel says, I think the only way I said this could have killed Ned is if we caught him off guard. Richie says, Ned is not in his prime like Jamie, but Ned has more experience. Ghetto Toad says, Ned wins. Samir says, would Ned not be stronger while Ned is stronger while Jamie is quicker and swifter? Renwood said, Lord Eddard Stark is sick, and 6 of his companions, Holland Reed, Lord Dustin, Ethan Glover, Sir Castle, Theo Wool, and Sir Mark something. I'm not going to try to approach the tower. Dukronk said, Ned's from the north. Northmen are tougher guys. Renwood says, keep it going. And they found 3 members of the King's Guard. And this is important because of the fight. They found 3 members of the King's Guard. Sir Arthur Dane, Sir Oswell Went, and Lord Commander Gerald Hightower. Ned did kill one of the men Jamie most respected, Sir Arthur Dane. So Jamie did defeat one man that Jamie would consider a great swordsman. Renwood said Eddard and Howland. Eddard had the tower torn down to build the cairns for 8 deceased. So very interesting stuff. So most people seem to be on your side of it, Joe, and think that Jamie. I'm on the limb here.
And here's the thing.
I just think Jamie wins.
I'll say this. It's going to leave.
Do you think Eddard Stark could be? Oh, I want to talk about future characters so much that we're not talking about. Do you think Ned Stark? So you think Ned's the biggest badass in the Seven Kingdoms? In a fight to the death, Ned's good. Let's just cut through the shit. That fight doesn't get stopped. Ned wins in your mind.
That's what I believe. Yes. Now here's the thing. In a fight, anything can happen. You can trip. You twist your ankle. Lucky shots. This and that. But if they both fight their perfect fight, I think Ned comes out the victor.
Both in their prime. Ned.
No, not even both in their prime. Just at this moment, both fight their perfect fight. I think Ned comes out the victor. Like, barring no accidents, no, like, I tripped or somebody behind me bumped into me or anything like that. Like,
I disagree with you ultimately because I think if the fight goes on long enough, Jamie's skilled enough to fend off Ned long enough to tire Ned out to win, to beat him in the end because he has stamina on him.
So I don't know that Ned does have stamina on him. I don't know that he does.
He trains more often than Ned does at this point right now.
Yeah, but you know,
me like someone that trains constantly.
I'm still not sure. I think that with the blows that he's going to be blocking from Ned's ice, which is Valyrian sword steel going up against regular steel, and with the way Ed fights, it's not going to be long. I don't think Jamie's armor and weaponry is going to be able to stand up against ice. That's some heavy shit, dude. That is a badass with that sword, and that sword alone is.
But Jamie is like ridiculously quick.
He is, and I was about to say that Jamie is probably the next closest.
It's Apollo versus Rocky, Joe. It really is.
You know what? And I gotta say, I think Ned ends up with the win over it. I do. I really do. I'm not trying to say Jamie's not a great fighter. Like he's one of the best in the kingdom.
I'm not saying your opinion's stupid. You know what I mean? I just have a different opinion. I can see why you could be coming from a different.
I just think the cool-headed, knowledgeable. Here's the thing: when we look at fighters, when we look at prize fighters now, all right, these guys are in their prime, winning the belt, not at 18 years old. That's a rare thing. That's a very rare thing. Mike Tyson, very rare. Most of these guys, even in the UFC, they're a bit older than the young guys. Usually the older guy is a much better fighter. He knows how to take blows better. He's not impulsive. He thinks about it. The strategy on one-on-one is a big thing when you're fighting.
Point that just got brought up that needs to be mentioned to add to that Jamie would win. Just for the record, he did not have ice with him for that fight. It was a different sword.
Okay. I can see that point then.
Couple of quick questions, comments. Mega Foxy says, I think that Jamie was more prepared for the fight and more practiced in that moment. I don't think Ned was fighting too many people in the North while Jamie's probably keeping himself in shape right now.
I'm not sure Jamie's fighting. Who's Jamie fighting as a Kingsguard in the Kingdom?
Let her thought finish just because it disagrees. I'm not done. I think in her prime, Ned would have won, but at this point, I think Jamie would have won. Now you can disagree with the point. Let me finish reading the person's point before you tell them they're wrong.
Well, I didn't see the second point. I saw the first comment, and then there's someone else, and then
because
Dragon's
someone else
with you.
said, "Oh, they're with me." Yes, Dragon.
Right, but no, because here's the thing: how many people is Jamie fighting? He's fucking his sister and standing around listening to Ned fuck. I mean, listening to Robert fuck. He's not fighting anybody. He might be training with some of the other Kingsguard who are much poorer sword fighters than him.
It's getting heated at 1:30 in the morning on the East Coast.
And I don't think Ned would ever stop training, and I think he's helping to train his sons as well.
And he's going
no, he has a master of arms that's doing that, Joe. He
trains like Rocky in Rocky 4, dude.
No, he has somebody else. We already know from Jon's standpoint, from Jon Snow's standpoint. That
yes, he has other people training, but I'm sure Ned is out there sometimes.
No, Ned's hanging out.
Teaching his sons.
Ned's that sword and cut people's heads off.
Ned's hanging out by trees, chilling out, relaxing, enjoying his life.
Yeah, no, I think neither one is as practiced as they should be.
No, Jamie's somewhere training with Barristan.
And here's the thing: Ned has seen Jamie fight many times in other tournaments,
Not to kill.
Ned knows how Jamie fights.
Not to kill. Jamie
does not. Oh, Jamie does not know.
Well,
listen, when you fight in those tournaments, you're not supposed to kill them, but you're fighting to kill. You're fighting to knock people's eyes out of their head.
For a second. What do you do to Jory, who's supposed to be a seasoned fighter? You wiped his ass in 2 seconds.
Oh, Jory's not a seasoned fighter.
He is a seasoned fighter. He's fought
he helped with the rebellion. He was in that war. He's a soldier. He is a seasoned fighter. I'm not saying that. But he is nowhere near Jamie Lannister's ability. He's nowhere near Jamie Lannister's ability.
Jaren Greenwood says knife to the back of the head. I think Ned
fight against Ned, but Ned's got it.
You want to believe that, but it's not.
Lannister punched that motherfucker in the face is because he knew he needed it.
No.
He knew without that.
Jamie outlasts him and kills him in the end.
No. He was so prideful. He was like, I wanted to do that on my own, but he knows he wouldn't have been able to do it.
Okay, we're gonna have to agree to disagree, folks, and this is a good place to cut off the discussion. Thank you, everybody. Samir says thank you for the review, guys. Especially.
Well, it ends with Ned getting a spear in the back of the thigh, in the back of the calf.
We all know how it ends.
Puts him to his knee, and he falls to the ground. It pans out, and Jamie just mounts up, and all the guards leave. They don't even take him prisoner. They just leave him laying on the ground with the dead people.
Now, and I love how Jamie got pissed off at the guard for breaking up the fight, because Jamie would have rathered in that moment die from Ned Stark.
Or killed Ned Stark, or killed him.
Right, but he wouldn't have minded his guards letting him die here. It's not the zombie apocalypse. There is such thing as an honorable combat in this world.
Correct.
And in this moment, they were happy having the Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker moment to go down. And in Jamie's eyes, end the whole conflict right now with the two of us fighting each other to the death.
Right. I think that guy stepped out of line. He shouldn't have done that.
That's why I say Jamie's not just a tournament fighter. He's not just some pussy like Loras that's just been in tournaments. Jamie knows how to really fight. He's been on the battlefield. He grew up. He won his knighthood on a battlefield.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm not taking anything away from Jamie.
You're implying that he's some pussy guy that's just fighting.
No way.
He's not.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I am.
He's a born killer. Jamie Lannister is a born fucking killer.
He threw a child out a window. Listen, not many people can do that. He just stuck a knife through Jury's skull in 2 seconds. He's a very skilled guy. I'm not taking anything away from him.
Jamie is born to be a sword fighter. He's born as a person that lives for combat.
Ned was too. It talks about
Ned was born as a leader, a commander, to be a lord. Fighting is not the primary thing for Ned.
His brother was born to be the leader. His brother was born to be the leader. He was sent off to fighting school. He was sent off to be a soldier, to learn how to fight and commit combat. He was taught by John Arryn of the Vale, along with Robert, the greatest warrior the Westeros has seen in whatever time, that killed Rhaegar in the battle of the. This is the guys that he trained with to be a soldier, not to be a lord. That was thrown on him when his brother was killed by the Mad King.
His brother was the warrior of the two. He was the better fighter.
Yeah. The Stark family, someone in the Stark family has always been at the wall. These are a hardened family that know the life of a
Jamie kills him. I'm just going to leave it at that. Jamie kills him. Oh, God. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this week's Game of Thrones podcast. We will be back on the next time we'll be on doing Vikings towards the end of the week, and we'll be talking more the Walking Dead series finale at the end of the week, or at the beginning of next week.
Oh, I'm so sad. I don't want to wait. For those months in between.
And thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening to our rants. We hope that whichever side of that argument you guys fall on, both of us argued our points strong enough.
If you could hear any of it between us talking over each other.
At that point, it just we needed the performance art of it all for that big screaming match at the end. So we need the Siskel and Ebert moment. So everybody. Also, sometime this weekend I will be on, or sometime in the week I'll figure out a time. The Game of Thrones third chapter of the Telltale game is out right now. I have it waiting for me on my PlayStation.
I noticed I could have downloaded it last night, and I tried to, but it wouldn't let me. It had did it come out like this morning or something? It was there, but it wouldn't let me download it.
Ren agrees with you and says Ned was a great soldier. I'm not saying Ned wasn't a great soldier. He was in more than one war, and so is Jamie. Jamie fought in wars as well. Tim says, "Don't go till Joe says knife to the back of the head." Joe.
Yeah, and exactly what would have happened at the end of that fight, Ned would have knifed the back of Jamie's skull. Knife to the back of Jamie's skull.
So guys, everyone, thank you so much. We'll talk to you guys next time. Later.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Peace out.
If you made it this far and haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. It would make us so happy. And share your thoughts on this episode of Game of Thrones and who you thought won this fight and who you think would have won the fight if it wasn't stopped. I'm curious of everyone's perspective on this.
Yes.
Anyway, have a good night, all. Bye.